everyone, and welcome to the 4th Annual Virtual Beautification Conference brought to you today from Keep Los Angeles Beautiful and the Office of Community Beautification. We are going to begin the program with a short video highlighting the Office of Community Beautification's contractors and all the great work that they do throughout the year. My name is Aura Garcia, and I am the president of the Board of Public Works and a proud member of the KLAB board also, and I am very happy to have been the liaison to Office of Community Beautification for the past 5 years. It has made us, and that also has brought us to make this annual conference a staple within the office. So congratulations to all those that are joining in today, all those that put it together, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Exciting. If you guys see, we are about 90 people strong. Yay, everyone. Good. Happy Thursday. It's a nice morning and a summer morning also. And I'm kind of waiting a little longer because I'm seeing we're at 98, 99. So it just keeps going. Whoa, 101, you guys. We're at 101. It's nice to see such a large crowd interested in recycling, reusing, and reducing our plastic pollution within the city. Thank you all for being here. The Office of Community Beautification maintains many contracts with local nonprofit organizations to provide public services such as the Clean LA program, graffiti abatement, litter removal, clean streets, weed abatement, and community cleanups. You can find our local nonprofit list every day working to create clean and beautiful communities. A big applause to them. It's really nice that we're able to highlight them on an annual basis, just for all of you to see all the great work that everybody's doing around the city. You can help too. This by reporting any issues or submitting services requests through my LA 311 or by calling 311. You can always download the app. It's just a small commercial on 311, but it's a way for you to play a part in cleaning up our city. So thank you all for being here. And with that, Karina, are we ready? And ready to watch the video and highlighting all of our OCB contractors. Was to really show you what Keep Los Angeles Beautiful contractors, and not just the Keep Los Angeles Beautiful contractors, but OCB contractors do on a daily basis. It goes really unnoticed sometimes, the graffiti abatement that our contractors are really doing, but there's a lot they take care of on a daily basis. Same goes for our litter abatement, our Clean LA program. Every day we're seeing folks out there cleaning, and we have a very large city. We're 4 million strong, probably even more. And cleaning, litter, graffiti abatement on an everyday basis is a very hard and tedious task to do, and our contractors very much do it. So high five to all of our contractors. That includes CRCD, Northeast Graffiti Busters, Summer Graffiti Busters, KYCC. I know I'm forgetting KLAB, PGS. I know I'm forgetting more, but I just want to say congratulations to you all, and thank you. Thank you for being part of our team. Thank you for being part of the city, and thank you for cleaning our beautiful city. For those who don't know, yes, it's a big round of applause. If we were in person right now, we would be applauding everybody right now. So applaud to all of our contractors out there. For those that don't know, Keep Los Angeles Beautiful is part of the Board of Public Works and Office of Community Beautification. It's a citywide volunteer-based community improvement and education campaign affiliated with the National Keep America Beautiful organization. And this is to engage the community, businesses, and local government in programs to prevent litter, promote recycling, and produce beautification projects, just like we're doing with our beautification grants, and just like we're doing today. And as an educational type service, putting this conference together so that more folks can get on the track of cleaning and picking up litter around. Our entire Public Works Department, which includes more than 6,000 hardworking and dedicated employees, have taken on many challenges this past few years. And we continue to build our efforts and maintain the infrastructure of our great city. In case you guys haven't noticed, we just built a bridge on 6th Street. Anybody notice that? If you didn't, I encourage you and welcome you all to pass by the bridge. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight and bridge, despite of all the great things that are happening, the fun things that are happening there. I want to say, once you drive through there, you'll get a sense of community, a sense of pride, and just enjoy that beautiful architecture that we were able to build in the city. So I encourage you, everybody, to just drive through the bridge if you haven't done so already. Our teams collect waste, remove graffiti, and trim trees. They fill potholes, repair sewers, and keep the street lights on. Our Office of Community Beautification and Keep Los Angeles Beautiful play a critical role in cleaning and beautifying our neighborhoods. If you're joining us this morning, it's likely because you play a role and are interested in playing and creating a green and beautiful Los Angeles. We truly believe that every individual has a power within themselves to serve the community by volunteering, picking up your litter, reducing their own waste, and taking personal action to improve and beautify their environment. Just simply as making sure that you throw your trash in a trash can is always a good help to all of us here in the city. And if we can remind others that there's trash cans and please place your trash cans, it would be amazing. And if everybody did that part alone, we would have such less litter and trash within our streets. And for our kids' Ocean Day purpose, we wouldn't have any litter or plastic going into storm sewers that go directly into the ocean. So we also want to make sure that we keep our oceans clean by making sure there isn't trash and plastics in the street. So we're doing definitely our part by really increasing the Clean LA program, which Kevin Gresham from OCB spearheads, and making sure that we do pick up all of our trash and litter from the streets. The challenge that we face today to combat climate change, preserve natural resources, and clean up our city require everyone and for all of us to work together. Today, you will hear keynote speeches on the city's tree programs and the importance of keeping trees healthy while conserving water, as well as the effect of littering across the United States. Our panel sessions will focus on best practices for recycling, reducing, and reusing water conservation efforts in the city of Los Angeles and at home, and how the city worked with community groups to create beautification projects throughout the city of LA. Our goal today is that you learn something new about how to reuse old items around your house, to reduce waste, or that you win a rain barrel, if that's what you're looking for as well, to help us with our city's water conservation efforts. Every small step that we take as individuals brings us to much closer to our collective goal. I'd like to take this time to thank some of our partners that made today possible. We're excited to be here today in a virtual setting, and we hope to be in a more casual and open setting, hopefully 2023. We just didn't want to take those chances, and then here comes close to the date and we have to retrack our efforts. So we wanted to make sure that everybody participated in today's event. And by doing it virtual, I know that a lot of folks are able to participate. So whether you're at home, at a park, in an office, in the library, at Starbucks, wherever you're at, you're able to participate in today's great effort. So I hope you stay on, because we have really great keynote speakers and really great speakers coming up, and it's all very interesting. So this conference goes from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. You're able to get snacks from your house. You're able to get any refreshments you want. And just, as long as you continue to be part of this great and informative conference today. I want to thank Mayor Garcetti for all his efforts for providing a welcoming remarks today, but just all of his initiatives on conserving, cleaning, and making sure that he leaves a beautiful city behind. Keep Los Angeles beautiful, and our advisory committee members. We have most of them here today. So if our board members can do a wave, KLAB board members do a wave. You see, those hardworking folks are the ones that brought you today's conference. It's a volunteer board members, have some city folks and some community-based folks, and just folks that want to just do their part for the city are part of the KLAB board. If you're interested, please contact Karina Casillas. She's one of our leads for the KLAB board. So thank you, all of our board members, for your effort, for your time, and for your dedication, but most importantly, for your heart, because I know your heart's in this. So thank you all for being part of every month of our KLAB meetings. To also keep America beautiful, Jason Smith and David Scott, PhD, who are here joining us today and will provide us some oversight and nationwide information that's important for all of us to know. Even though we're working locally, it's important for us to know what's coming up ahead nationwide. What are the trends? What are we looking at? And so I'm glad, and thank you, Jason and David, for being here today. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting conversation, so please stay tuned for that. I also want to thank Rachel Mallerich, our city forest officer, who is here. She's here, wave, Rachel, who will be providing information on how you can continue to take care of your trees while we're being under a water conservation time. Thank you, Rachel, for being here. And all of our panelists from various organizations, thank you all for participating. We look forward to hearing your panels, your experience, and your expertise. It's important for all of us to share that information. And lastly, I want to thank the Office of Community Beautification, Paul Raj, our fearless director. Paul Raj has been with us for many, many years and is a true expert on what he's doing here in the city. Paul Raj, thank you for your leadership with the OCB team. I also want to thank Jerry Valito. Jerry Valito, I see you. Say hello, Jerry, for always our Assistant Director, Office of Community Beautification. Karina Casillas and Ana Huiza for their hard work and making today possible. Thank you, Ana and Karina. And I also want to thank Diana Bonis from our PR department, who also plays a big part in putting today's effort together. So thank you, Diana, and the PR department at Board of Public Works. And for that, anyone else joining us as part of the city, thank you for being here. It just shows the effort and the commitment you have to our city, and what, the takeaways that you'll take today back to your office and implement them on how we can all work together to keep the city clean. So I applaud every one of you for joining us today, taking an active role in developing a clean, green, and sustainable Los Angeles, and for your interest in learning more about the programs and services that exist in Los Angeles to meet our goal. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed today's conference.
Great. Thank you, President Garcia. I believe at this point, we're now going to hear some opening video remarks from Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and Los Angeles City Controller Ron Galperin.
Good morning. I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 4th annual Keep Los Angeles Beautiful Conference. Thank you so much for attending. There are so many ways we can help make our communities cleaner and safer, more equitable and more sustainable, whether it's cleaning up litter, conserving water, or promoting environmental justice. And every one of those efforts moves us closer to our goals of the city's Green New Deal, a future that's defined by zero waste, a resilient local water supply, and a healthy environment in every single neighborhood. I want to thank the Board of Public Works President, Aurora Garcia, for leading and organizing this incredible event. And I want to thank our guest speakers, City Controller Ron Galper, the Office of Community Beautification's Paul Ratz, and Keep America Beautiful's Jason Smith. And our moderators and panelists, thank you all for educating us today on the opportunities and services that are available to improve our city of angels today and for generations to come. And finally, to all the Angelinos who are watching and listening and learning from your computer screens today, I hope you learned something new. I hope that you're inspired to participate and to support our collective efforts to clean and to beautify our communities and our city. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for all you do.
Hello, I'm LA Controller Ron Galperin, and I'm delighted to join all of you in celebrating the 4th Annual Beautification Conference. Thank you to the Office of Community Beautification, the Board of Public Works, and President Aurora Garcia, and Keep LA Beautiful for putting this virtual event together. As the taxpayer's watchdog in LA, my job is to oversee the city's finances and spending, to see that public dollars are being put to good use by keeping our government responsive, transparent, and accountable. And crucial to our quality of life and to our future is building a cleaner, more beautiful, more walkable, more sustainable city. To help further these goals, my office is focused on reports and initiatives to prevent devastating fires, to track, inspect, and regulate thousands of oil wells, to combat illegal dumping, particularly of toxins, to invest in saving water, to improve safety and accessibility of our sidewalks, to revamp our approach to caring for our urban forest. The city has a crucial role to enhance the quality of life, to keep our communities green, safe, sustainable, and beautiful. And we all have a role to play doing the same as Angelinos, as good neighbors, and as stewards of our environment and our communities. Together, we can create a brighter future for our environment and for generations to come. Thank you for all you do to make it happen.
All right. Thank you for those videos. And now we're going to move into some live presentations. And our very first speaker will be Jason Smith, the Western Regional Representative for Keep America Beautiful. Jason.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to participate once again in this wonderful event. It's an honor to be here with you. Keep Los Angeles Beautiful, the city of LA, to learn how we can work together to keep Los Angeles a beautiful place for all to enjoy. Keep America Beautiful is the largest community improvement organization in the United States, building an America where everyone lives in a beautiful community. For nearly 70 years, Keep America Beautiful has cleaned and beautified public spaces for the benefit of humanity and the world around us. Our legacy is built on education, partnerships, and our science-based model for change. We bring all of this together through an unparalleled affiliate network to mobilize millions and create clean, green, and inclusive societies. This combination of expertise and grassroots engagement makes Keep America Beautiful a truly unique and trusted movement for community improvement. Our approach solves problems through a network of dedicated individuals and affiliate organizations like Keep Los Angeles Beautiful in communities across the country. What sets Keep America Beautiful apart from our peers is our network's reach and its local roots. We have 700 certified local organizations like Keep Los Angeles Beautiful, millions of volunteers like you all, and participants. We work with government and corporate partners, all working to educate, empower individuals to create and maintain resilient communities for the benefit of the shared society. We're proud to partner with Keep Los Angeles Beautiful team, the City of Los Angeles's Office of Community Beautification, community groups across the city, and volunteers who work towards a clean, green, and beautiful LA. Eliminating waste is one part of the of the equation to making communities beautiful, but alone it's insufficient. Increasingly, research shows that thriving communities with better health, economic, and social outcomes are supported by vibrant green spaces. By planting trees and green spaces and cleaning and beautifying local public places, we're working to ensure that everyone lives in a beautiful community. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Keep America Beautiful improves communities for future generations, preserving our shared quality of life and fostering a healthier environment for us all. I'd like to thank you all for doing your part to keep Los Angeles beautiful. As you partner with Keep Los Angeles Beautiful, you're contributing to our shared vision of a cleaner, greener, and more beautiful nation. We thank you for your support. It takes commitment from all corners of the community to make change, and your participation with Keep LA Beautiful could be at the center of that transformation for the city of LA and your neighborhood. Thank you for what you do today, tomorrow, and every day to improve and beautify your community, the city of LA, and America. Thank you.
Great, Jason. Thank you, and thank you for being here with us. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Paul Roch. I'm the director of the Office of Community Beautification, and we're very glad to have everybody here with us this morning. Beautification issues in the city of Los Angeles are extremely important, not just in order to create a nice environment in which to live, but beautification is directly involved in crime prevention, in increasing property values, in better economic support throughout the city. People obviously want to shop and do business in areas that they feel are clean and safe. Studies have shown that for every dollar invested in beautification, $34 is returned in community benefits. And that's one of the reasons that the Office of Community Beautification is very proud to work with communities throughout the city of Los Angeles, whether that's providing grant opportunities, supporting cleanup events, or helping groups obtain permits in which they can do their own type of beautification projects. We also maintain contracts, as we showed at the beginning, with nonprofit community-based organizations. Over 500 city residents actually have jobs through contracts with our office to provide various services such as graffiti removal, litter and weed abatement, tree planting, all sorts of those types of services. So as much as we are a cleanup and beautification program, we do also provide, again, over 500 jobs to residents of the city of Los Angeles. That being said, our next presenter is Rachel Malarich, the Chief City Forest Officer for the city of Los Angeles. Rachel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you, Paul and President Garcia, for inviting me to join today's event. I love to talk about trees, and I love to see so many of our nonprofit partners and community advocates here as well today, and some new faces as well. So we know that trees are important to our community health, and traditionally trees were used as a beautification element, to make our neighborhoods look nicer. And one of my favorite quotes from one of our partners, the California Urban Forest Council, is that trees make the places we live feel like home. But we know beyond that, they're real superheroes. They help us in terms of air quality, in terms of increased safety, cooling, feeling in our hot summer months. They're really critical pieces of our city infrastructure that play a role. They're beautiful, and they provide us these tremendous benefits. So I wanted this opportunity to share two things with you as our community leaders you can be doing right now related to trees. And my work, I get to work across city departments, working on some of our policy issues related to trees, and projects and those kinds of things. But two pieces of information for you all. One is, I know that we're all thinking about drought and water restrictions, and that definitely impacts not all of us, but also our trees. And trees have issues when they have a change in their water. Even if they're used to receiving that lawn water and they're a low water use tree, they're drought resistant, they meet all those bars. If you suddenly change their water regime, turning off the irrigation to your lawn or what have you, they notice, because they've grown in response to that water that's been available to them for years. So what we're encouraging Angelinos to do is to pay attention to their trees and notice if they're getting stressed. And we have some resources related to caring for both mature and young trees that I'll go ahead and put in the chat when I'm done speaking. But do know that our water restrictions, there's an exemption for hand watering existing young and mature trees. That is still allowed. You're still allowed to hand water trees in spite of our current water restrictions. We recommend thinking about giving your trees a nice deep soak once a month during the summer months, July through, let's say, September, October. But again, just maybe paying attention to how your trees are doing. We also recommend waiting to fertilize or prune those trees, as those can be additional stressors when the tree may be experiencing that drought stress. So I know I'm going a little more technical than our previous speakers, but want to give you these two nuggets of things that you can be doing at home. One is the care for your trees with water restrictions. And secondly, we're heading towards the time of year, not quite yet, but in a couple months, we're going to be kicking off our planting season. We really like to plant between October, and we go as late as May, but I prefer October to March. If you have the opportunity at your home to prioritize when you plant, try and do it during those cooler months. We have a free trees program that is available to our communities to either get a tree planted if you have an available street tree location in front of your home or business, or up to 7 free trees can be delivered to your property for free through funding from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power that's managed through OCB contracts, and they do such a fantastic job working with our partners. So I'll be putting those links in the chat. Care for the trees you've got, and maybe think about planting some new ones on your property, or requesting them for the public right-of-way around your home as we enter planting season. That's all I've got for you this morning. Thanks so much, Paul.
Great. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you for being here with us. We have one more presentation. This one should be very interesting. And after that, we will then have a quick raffle and move into our panels. But we do have Dr. David Scott, Senior Director of Research with Keep America Beautiful. David, thank you for being here with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Paul. And I am going to be the first one who tries to present something in that to 160 people is always a bit of a risky maneuver, but I'm going to give it a try and we'll see. Paul and Karina, can you tell me if you see? It looks like it's about to start presenting. It's thinking about it. How about now? Did I get a thumbs up?
Yes, you're working.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, as Paul mentioned, I'm David Scott, and I like to think kindly noted as the data guy at Keep America Beautiful. And I'm thrilled to be with you today to provide a few comments about the state of litter in the United States as a whole and how it affects the work that takes place in Los Angeles and the communities across the country. But I also want to extend my thanks to President Garcia and to Paul and Karina and Anna for putting this together. And it's really exciting to see all of the partners and advocates on the call today. So the comments today are going to be grounded in the Keep America Beautiful 2020 National Litter Study, which I had the privilege to oversee, and which you can find out more information if you wish at www.kab.org/litter-study. And hopefully I'll remember to throw that into the chat later. As I give my comments, make reference to the implication of these findings for Los Angeles. So as you are all familiar with the folks on the call today, and I wasn't exactly sure who the audience was, but now that I've heard, you're all familiar with the state of the challenge in Los Angeles with litter and illegal dumping today. And here are just a couple of photographs that OCB and Keep LA Beautiful shared with me, so that these are things that you all recognize on a daily basis. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that we found out when we looked at this across the country. The problem in the United States of litter is significant, as it is across the world. At the time of our study in 2020, we estimated that there are approximately 50 billion pieces of litter on the ground at the time of the study, and that's shown on the left-hand side of my slide here. And I should note that that's at the time of the study, excuse me, that's not annually. That was at a single point in time in the United States is the estimate that there were 50 billion pieces of litter on the ground. About half of that was along roadways, 24 billion pieces to be precise. And that breaks down to about 2,500 pieces per mile of roadways in the US. And while we know that, something that's very top of mind for all of us who live along or near waterways, as you all do in Los Angeles, we also know that litter in our waterways has become a significant topic of interest. But this study provided our first national estimate of the amount of litter along America's surface waterways. And we found out, in fact, that we estimated that there was slightly more litter, 26 billion pieces of litter to be precise, along waterways than there is along our roadways. So the problem is significant. And I want to tell you that when we talked to US residents about the problem of litter and illegal dumping in their communities, they know it. We asked them if they believe that litter is a problem, and 9 out of 10 US residents believe that litter is a problem in their state, in the United States. So in many ways, the challenge that we have ahead of us is not about telling people that litter is a problem or making them aware of litter as a problem. It's more about talking to them about solutions to litter and illegal dumping. So the scientific estimates that we collected in our litter study, and as we have done in the past, help us begin to understand what progress looks like and if we are making progress against litter. And as the right-hand panel shows, at the national level, the litter study found that we've seen a 54% reduction in the number of pieces of litter along US roadways in the decade prior to the most recent study. So this is a sort of, this is why I am a data evangelist, about the need to collect more and better data so we know if we're making progress. And we're doing that at the national level, and we love partnering with our local partners like Keep LA Beautiful to do this kind of work at the local level. And so I will not go into all the data in the study. I encourage you to look for yourself at the website, the link that I'll provide. But because we also estimated that what types of litter were on the ground, where the litter was coming from, where we found it on the ground, and all of that provides important information to folks like you for addressing the problem in your communities. But before I finish, I want to focus for a couple of minutes on solutions to litter. So how do we solve litter and illegal dumping and address new issues when they arise? And we see, and you all see, on an annual basis, new problems arise in your communities. Well, one of the things that we really wanted to highlight in this study is the need to engage people to become part of the solution. And I'm saying this to a bunch of community organizations and advocates. So I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but let me just preach a little bit anyway. Of course, we want folks to never litter and to never illegally dump in the first place, for certain. And we also want communities to have effective policies in place, services, and infrastructure to prevent litter. But we also need to do everything we can to bring individuals and communities into the solution and to become part of the solution. So how do you help them do that? So for us, the problem can sometimes seem, and our research shows, the problems can sometimes seem too big to an individual. If you look at that national number, 50 billion pieces of litter, this is a massive problem. What on earth can I, an individual, do about that problem? And what we want to do, just like what we do when we talk about climate challenges, is we want to reduce the distance between the size of the problem and the solution to the problem, and let people know that they can be part of that problem. So we took the 50 billion pieces of litter, we divided it by the population of the United States, and we calculated that 50 billion pieces of litter on the ground equates to about 152 pieces of litter for every person in America. That's to say, if we all went out and we picked up 152 pieces of litter and nobody ever littered again, and if we correctly manage the waste stream to prevent unintentional litter, we have no more litter on the ground. Now, I recognize that that's not realistic on the people not littering, but it just gives people an image to what it takes. And 152 pieces is a manageable number. It's something that I, as an individual, can relate to. Where I live, which is an urban community, I can walk out of my community, out of my front door, and within 2 hours, I could easily pick up 152 pieces of litter. I can relate to what that means, whereas 50 billion is perhaps too big, but 152 pieces, that is solvable. So we can do this kind of work, use these sorts of messages to communicate to people that they can be part of the solution. So we at Keep America Beautiful created this hashtag 150U 152 and You campaign that you see here to engage people, to get them to realize that they can be part of the solution, either individually or even, you know, with these groups of young people and folks who are out, like you see in the picture, who go out on a daily or weekly basis and take care of their communities. That sort of work is a critical part of the problem. We all get sick of picking up litter. But the fact of the matter is engaging everybody in the solution is a critical part of that solution. So, you know, as I like to say, at 100, it's not only about picking up 152 pieces of litter, it's just getting people in their mind when they see a piece of litter on the ground to recognize that that's something that they can do about it. Or perhaps, you know, that bag of picnic waste that they're about to put on top of the overflowing can of litter at the trash can at the park that's going to blow off if they put it on there. Maybe they think about it just for a second and recognize that they want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And this, getting people to plan their behaviors and to think about where they stand as part of the solution is really, really important. So with 152 and You, we're encouraging everyone in America to become part of the solution, and the opportunities to do so are numerous. I know you all are taking people out like the video showed, and that is a critical part of the solution. So that, together with effective data, infrastructure, policy, education, and innovation, this sort of engagement of people in our communities is critical to making Los Angeles a clean, green, and sustainable place to live. And the data really back us up on this. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I throw it back to you, Paul.
Thank you, David, very much for being here with us today. I believe we're going to take a fun raffle break. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Wieser, and I also work with Paul Roch with the Office of Community Beautification. And today we will be doing the fun stuff, the raffles. So I did it in the chat. If I select your name, please make yourself present, unmute yourself, let me know you're here, and go ahead and email me after the conference so we can arrange pickup. Okay? So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I have everyone who signed up prior to the deadline on last Friday. So there's about 320 names in here. The first name I got is Brad Vanderhoof. Are you here? Brad Vanderhoof, are you here? No? Okay, next name. Alberto Perez, are you here? Now we'll try one more, otherwise I'm going to pick from the chat. And again, this is for the rain barrels. Andrew Epstein. Okay, then we'll just try one more. Okay. Jose Chavarria. Okay, so I'm going to try from the chat. That might be easier since we do have a large group. Okay, so this is random. Brian Chun. Brian Chun? Brian Chun? No? Okay. So again, this is for the first rain barrel. Frankie Smith, are you here?
Are people on mute?
Yeah, so they're on mute.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So you want a rain barrel.
I'm sorry. I'm pet sitting a friend's bunny, so I'm trying
Oh,
to.
you're okay.
Okay.
You're okay.
Okay.
So you won the first rain barrel. So go ahead and email me after the conference so we can arrange pickup.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Frankie. Okay, so for second rain barrel, here we go. Yes, if you can't speak, please type in. Okay, second one is Nancy Lopez.
I am here.
Yay!
Right.
Second rain barrel. So go ahead and email me after the conference so we can coordinate, please.
Perfect.
And I will do one. You're welcome. One more. Okay. Jonathan Mitchell. Jonathan.
Here.
Yay! So you are our last winner for this round of raffles. So please coordinate, email me so we can coordinate the pickup for the rain barrel.
Will do.
Perfect. So please stay tuned. After our panels, we will be giving away 2 more rain barrels. And as of now, please, a few more minutes until our panels begin. But thank you for joining today.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So our first panel is the reduce, reuse, and recycling for everyone. Let me confirm, are our panelists, Gina and Nancy, are they on? Nancy is here, and is Gina, oh, there they are, okay. Excellent, so our first 2 panelists. And Karina, are we good to go to start panel number 1?
Yes, you are good to go.
Okay, so again, I'm Paul Roch. I will be serving as the moderator for the panel. Our 2 panelists are Gina Wisenant, the Waste and Recycling Manager for USC. She manages the daily waste, recycling, and composting operations on the USC campus, the village, the health science campus, and off-campus USC-owned businesses. Her duties include identifying, recommending, and implementing zero waste programs and procedures in aligning with USC Zero Waste Initiative by 2028. And our second panelist is Nancy Baida, Director of Food Cycle, Los Angeles-based nonprofit working to feed people and not landfills by connecting excess food from businesses with food insecure populations throughout the city. So we thank you guys for being here. Before we move into any questions, Gina and Nancy will give you a moment if you want to elaborate on those introductions or give a quick presentation, and then we can move into some questions and answers.
All right. So Food Cycle is a nonprofit that focuses on connecting excess food with people who are hungry. And this problem in the US is enormous. We're estimated to waste up to 40% of edible food in the United States. And just to amplify that, that food, when it goes into landfills, it releases methane gas. So it's actually a big methane gas, is one of the worst climate change gases. It's worse than, it's like been estimated to be 25 times worse than CO2 in its impact on global warming. So for us, we focused on the environmental, identifying better ways to connect any kind of food waste to food insecure populations that need it. And during the pandemic, we saw an explosion in food insecurity in Los Angeles. We found that up between 1 in 6 and 1 in 8 Angelenos are now food insecure. So it's just crazy for us to be wasting perfectly good food when there are so many people who need it. And that's what we are working on not doing. Gina.
That's great. Thank you. So yeah, I am in charge of waste management daily operations, but also in 2019, USC did get a new president, President Folt, and one of her top initiatives was zero waste. And the goal was set to have zero waste by 2028, which is a very extremely ambitious goal, but it's a great goal because it kind of was able to boost support for it within the departments, all the different departments at USC, and being able to get everyone to collaborate and work together. Before that, it was a lot more challenging, you know, to get people to understand. Now they all know, okay, we have this initiative, it's everyone's goal, let's work on it. So my team has been growing since about 2019, and we have added some new positions that didn't exist before, and that's because we're tasked with the responsibility of going through our waste on a daily basis. So we do have some zero waste auditors that go through each area daily because, you know, in order to get to zero waste, we have to know what's in our waste. And so identifying that on a daily basis and then implementing programs or recommending programs to each department of what needs to change, finding out how we can reduce it. As Nancy said, food waste, you know, let's get that food waste donated on a daily basis, because we do have St. Francis here daily to pick up. Where can we recommend people, okay, don't forget they're here, let's get this donated also. And then just identifying what kind of products we have on campus. Is it sustainable? Do we have the proper tools in place for students to dispose of it correctly? Do we have the proper signage? So what we've been doing a lot of is piloting programs. I'm really big on that because I need to see what works. What works for the students. We all know that, you know, or at least through research that we've done, that people need to know within 2 to 4 seconds where to drop their waste. Otherwise, you know, sometimes it's going to end up in the trash, or it's going to end up in recycle when it's not recyclable. So that's been quite fun, trying to find out, okay, what kind of product do we have and what are people thinking? Because where is it ending up? So we are trashy people. We're in the waste on a daily basis, but I think it's fun because this is where we're going to get the most improvement. And this is where we're going to see how we can reach that goal by 2028.
Great. Thank you for that. So first question, what do each of you feel is the biggest challenge for this topic at the moment, whether it's in educating people or maintaining a lifestyle that places an emphasis on reduce, reuse, and recycling? What's the number one challenge right now, do you feel?
I'll go first this time, Nancy. For me at the university, I would say the number one challenge is getting everyone to understand that we all play a part in it. Being that we are downstream, we work our way upstream, and so we need people to understand that it's not just the point of disposal where, you know, students, faculty, staff, the public, who's ever on campus, not just the point of disposal where they throw it, but also operational of where it gets disposed. Is it disposed properly? Are we providing the tools? Do our dorms have the proper tools? Do our dining facilities have the proper tools? Are they aware of the mandates? So that's what we've been really spending a lot of time and focus on, you know, with the new mandate of simple condiments, you know, not placing them out for people to just take as many as they want, but having them request it. So getting people to understand that people are very sensitive about their waste. We've learned through this because it kind of makes them feel like, you know, oh, my behavior, you're looking at my behavior. And so we try to go in there and get them to say, hey, this is a goal that we all share, and we're here to help you. No one's going to get in trouble. No one's going to get fined. You know, one of our trainers say you're not a sinner if something ended up in the trash. We're just here to make it better and continue to evolve and train and get the proper signage in so we can continue every year just increasing that diversion. And it's consistency. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, I'd say for us, it ties in a bit exactly with what Gina said, where we really have tried to focus on shifting the consciousness and awareness around food waste, something that we're, you know, used to taking for granted. In some ways, we want to make it not acceptable for a grocery store to have a dumpster full of edible produce, when I know that there are women at a shelter who would be thrilled to get that produce as part of their diet. So we have tried to incorporate, one of the ways we've tried to do that is to incorporate volunteers in the work we do and make it easy for people to help pick up food, because once you go to a store or you go to a bakery and you see how much is getting thrown away, it kind of blows your mind. And it's such a very concrete and rewarding thing to take that food to, you know, and see like often the people who are going to benefit from that food. It is something that brings home to you like how wrong it is that we haven't made those simple behavioral changes when we could do so much better. And it's not an easy thing to do, because I can tell you that a lot of, you know, behavioral changes can be really challenging. We find that a lot of the staff that's working in businesses, they're really used to just like, I just throw this away at the end of the day. And to get them to change that behavior and do it in a way that is not going to make them really defensive and maybe not too cooperative, it's really helpful for us to just say, this is the impact. This is where, these are the families that your food is going to help. And most of the people who are benefiting now from this food, these are not necessarily people who are homeless. These are working families who are just, especially during the pandemic, these people were telling us, you know, we just don't have enough to pay our rent if we buy food, and we really need this help. So finding a way for those families to destigmatize this and say, hey, you can go to your church and they can help you. We can go, there's other ways besides waiting in line at a food bank. That's another thing we've really tried to work on doing, is just like, it's okay to get this food. Actually, you're doing a good thing. You're helping the environment when you get this food that would otherwise be thrown away. Yeah.
Great, thank you. What do you guys feel? I mean, you kind of touched on this a little bit just now, Nancy, but what are some of the other critical changes that either we as individuals or organizations can make regarding reducing waste?
Yeah, I think that first of all, public education and again, just making us more conscious as a culture. We've sort of moved in the direction of making waste very acceptable, right? It's like we have such an abundance that we're throwing things out. And you find that in a lot of cultures where they've actually had more scarcity. I always thought it was interesting. Those are actually the cuisines that have evolved to be the most amazing cuisines, like, you know, the French, where they use every part of that cow, or the Chinese, where they know, you know, nothing is going to waste. However, we actually don't have that attitude towards a lot of food. And it's really important to shift our, I think, our perception of food as this incredible resource that can do so much more than just feed people. I mean, it's actually a really powerful connector. So sometimes we try to use this food as ways of having events to bring people together, to like sit down at a table with people who are experiencing homelessness. It totally shifts the way you relate to these people and see them when you have a conversation. I think that it's working to gradually, incrementally shift to see like food has such a power as a connector. It has a power to change and heal people. We know that now, how important food is. So overall, just to continue to bring that awareness to people of this is a resource. It's something that we are very blessed with to have an abundance of in this country, and we should never take it for granted. We have to change our thinking about that. Yeah, Gina, sorry if I stepped on your time.
That's okay. No, I agree with you completely, because, you know, we do have dining facilities. We have 4 dining facilities, and then we also have some retail facilities. And so I think, you know, helping them to understand, it's very, I'm finding that some people think, oh, but what if somebody gets sick? You know, they're not aware of the Good Samaritan law that's been in place for quite a while, and they're not aware that when St. Francis comes here, you know, if it's hot food, they test the temperature before they take it. If it's not okay, then they tell us to put it in the compost. So it's getting them to be comfortable with, you know, okay, nothing's going to come back on us for this, and we're doing a good thing. And so what we do is we spend a lot of time going to the dining facilities, and then what we do is we also share with them how much they're actually donating, and how much we give them reports on how much families they're feeding by doing that, and letting them know that when we do that, we have excess, that, you know, we're able to have St. Francis, not we, sorry, is able to have that on the table within 24 hours, and people are eating. So I think that's what I would say about the critical changes, is getting them just to not be so, you know, worried about, okay, well, I don't want anyone sick, or somehow this is going to come back on us. And they're starting to release that a little bit and see, okay, yeah, we're doing a good thing, and this is what we need to do. And just bringing up the mandates, not to knock it over their head, but to let them know this is the right thing to do. And kind of teaching them and educating them about the hierarchy. You know, first we want to feed people, then we want to feed animals, and then we want to compost. So that should be your third choice. If you can't do the other 2, then we'll compost. So, and like I said, it's the consistency, and it's continually repeating it to them, and continually checking, okay, are you donating? We found something donatable. And they'll say, oh, I didn't know that was donatable. So what we actually have done for that is we've made them special signage to keep in the back of the house of all items that can be donated. So when they see a picture of that, they say, oh, okay, we can leave this for St. Francis. We don't need to put this in the compost.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. And you know, we have a lot of interaction with USC students who've created groups around food waste and are doing amazing distributions and working with the cafeterias and really, you know, students care about this. They understand the link with the environment and waste. I think it's really that we in Los Angeles should give ourselves a pat on the back in some ways because we're really leading the country. The Recycler program that started through the Department of Sanitation back in 2016, 2017, that program actually had built in providing support for that, for some money for organizations that are recovering food. And now we have SB 1383, a California law that requires businesses to donate food. So I can tell you we've seen a huge shift in people's willingness to participate just since with those programs. Last year, our donations grew over 2,000%. And a lot of it had to do with businesses saying, oh, we actually have to get something together. It wasn't at the top of our list, but now we need to focus on it. So as all of us can educate businesses about, oh, you know, hey, what do you do with all this food that's left over? I see you have a buffet. What happens to that food? And if somebody says to you, well, we can't donate it, we have to throw it away because, you know, somebody might get sick, then that's a time to say, you know, actually, that's absolutely not true. There's been a law for 30 years that protects you from being sued. Those kinds of things are really important that the public be brought up to date on. So, but I do think that in Los Angeles, we can be really proud of a lot of what we're doing. And I think we're leading, you know, not only nationally, but globally and around food in particular, food waste, with some of the programs and laws that we've been passing.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. There are a couple of questions in the chat. So
yeah,
let me encourage anybody who has any questions, put them in the chat and we can, we've still got about another 15 minutes on this panel. So there was one question in regards to Amazon Fresh and their employees being told to throw out cooked food after it's been out for a few hours. And the question was, you know, how can we get Amazon Fresh to donate that food? Any suggestions on?
Well, anytime that we have a contact, if you can help track down a contact at a company, that's where we start to reach out to educate them about how we can help them reduce food waste. We also work with, just as part of the reduce part, we work with a company called Winnow that has technology to introduce into kitchens that does analytics to help them reduce from that top before, you know, before they overproduce, to help them analyze that. But I think the best way is to give us a name of someone and we can bring to their attention SB 1383. Somebody asked me the name of that law that requires food donation. So that's the best. Just like, yeah, we have a website. You can reach out to our website, Food Cycle LA. And then, you know, if you have any leads, like here's a business that is wasting a lot of food, that's how we can help track it down.
Great. And Gina, I saw there was a question in the chat about whether USC has an anaerobic digester in case the food cannot be composted. And you did say it's you're planning to pilot that this spring of 2023. Do you want to elaborate at all on?
Yes, well, we have a school on Catalina Island, Wrigley Institute, and they currently have one. So we've looked into it, and we would like to pilot 2 of them actually, because we do have a lot of weight coming out of one of our dining facilities. It's open year round. And what we plan on doing, it does provide agriculture some soil, and it does provide some water, not a lot, you know, but with the water shortage that we're having right now, it's good to have it. It's about 60 gallons, you know, every day. We would need a lot more, but we could still use it. And we're going to pilot that in our dining facility in the spring of 2023. It has been working out great for them. And I think for us, it's in this area that we've chosen. Like I said, we're all about piloting. Let's see what goes wrong. Let's see what goes right. Let's see what we need to fix before we roll it out to all the dining facilities. So yes, we do have a big plan with the 2028 goal of zero waste. We better have a big plan. A lot of things in line to set up. So that is one of them.
Great, thank you. And there are some just general comments in the chat. Also some questions related to other subjects that we can try to address either at the end of the conference, or we'll be taking those down and can follow up. There were some questions in regards to, helping homeless individuals obtain jobs and things like that. Yes, there are many programs out there, and we'd be happy to provide a little bit more information on that. Let's see, FYI, Kroger headquarters in Compton has a digester for all their area food waste. Let's see, is the city working to match up food pantries and homeless shelters with local restaurants and grocery stores to use food?
So
Nancy?
I'd like to clarify that we are not a food bank. We don't distribute food ourselves. We're a food connecting system that locates edible food and connects it to, right now, over 350 different organizations. So part of we're about logistics, scheduling, moving the food, finding places that have the capacity to take the food, finding the place that needs the kind of food that's being donated. I don't want to send a bag of groceries to someone who's distributing on Skid Row. Those people don't have the facilities to fix the food. But I'm getting catered food from film sets that I'm matching to those donations, that where it's needed. So we're more about like that connecting piece of figuring out how to distribute the food. And yes, for the past 4 years, we've been working to create a list of all the resources in the city where food is being distributed. That helps us know where the food can be used, because as some people in the chat have pointed out, there are logistical problems with matching food donations. These are typically at the end of their shelf life. They have to be used right away. So I cannot grab a grocery store that on a Sunday night and use it for a food distribution the following Friday. I'm matching it with someone where they're giving out that food on Monday. And do they have the refrigeration to handle it? All of those kind of logistical questions are things that we handle. And we try to do that while also incorporating that climate change awareness into everything we do. So we have electric vehicles. We're just adding 2 more electric vehicles that we use to pick up food, so we aren't, creating greenhouse gases when we're driving around to get the food. We're looking at the scheduling and figuring out how to make sure that the food doesn't travel a long distance to go to that distribution that's going to try and hand it out the next day. There's just a lot of matchings, and sort of logistics part is what we're focusing on to address the climate change. But we don't actually hand out the food ourselves. We find the big list of organizations that do that. And if organizations are interested in getting food, they can go to our website. We have a page on our website, Find Food. It's Food Cycle LA. And that was created by a group in association with us, Hack for LA, the Food Oasis Project, where they were finding everywhere in LA they were feeding people. And we have that on our website. So an organization can sign up and say, hey, we'd like to get food. And we're going to ask you, hey, what day do you use it? What do you need? How many people are you serving? We also, on that page, have a place where hungry people can just go and say, what's in my neighborhood? What's open today? And that resource is something that takes a lot of actually employee time to keep it up to date, to make sure those places are still open and serving people. So, and you can get on, Lottie, you can get on the list by just going on that sign up sheet. We're actually starting a new project where we're adding additional transportation capacity and onboarding a couple more grocery store chains to help us get more food to more organizations. So just sign up on our website and we'll have you on our list and match you when we can.
Great, thank you, Nancy. I see that Bertha asked a question about the city of LA, whether they have a formal composting program for residents. And this, for a long time, there's been the green waste bins where you can put out your yard waste and trimmings and things like that. The city is starting to expand that, and in certain areas we'll be offering food waste type of composting. They're going out, they're distributing small little buckets that you can keep on your kitchen sink and put your food waste. And I mean, everything from meat and bones and eggshells and all that kind of stuff, put those into the green bins, and it will be composted. So the city is in the process of expanding a more formal composting program that will be utilized through the Bureau of Sanitation and the green bins that we put out every week. Let's see. Looking for any other questions here. So he has thought about setting up food cycling. All composters don't accept animal bones.
Well, I think there was a question about the little like community fridges.
Oh, I don't see that. Okay, what was the question, Anna? You see?
I just sent it to you on the chat. It says, is there any way of establishing neighborhood fridges, pantries, where not only people can get food, but neighbors can bring extra food?
Yeah, so the community fridges are definitely in existence. Community fridges in Los Angeles, you can find them on the web. We sometimes guide people who have smaller donations to those fridges to just drop them off in their neighborhood, and that organization runs its own programs and has refrigerators throughout the city.
All right. We still have about another 5 minutes or so for this panel. So last chance if anybody has any questions. If not, this conference is about bringing awareness and sharing resources and building bridges. So we thank Nancy and Gina. We're wondering, how can people learn more about your organizations and the work that you've been doing? And if they have any follow-up questions, how would they be able to contact you or find out more information?
Yeah, so they can go on our website, foodcyclela.org, and we have pages for people who are interested in volunteering. We try to make sure we can pick up even small donations, which is a much more complicated process than me just sending drivers to grocery stores. So we have we have an app we use called Carrot that was developed by a woman here in Los Angeles, and you can get it on your phone, and then you can see, oh, there's a bakery near me that has donations on Friday. I could pick those up and drop it off to a shelter. So we try to make it easy for volunteers to actually contribute. And then we also have pages on our website for donors who might be interested in establishing a program, and we'll walk you through it. We send someone in person to help train your staff and provide you with materials. And then we also, as I mentioned, that Find Food page, we really try to help organizations all over the city get more food to help support the programs they're doing, like, providing help to homelessness. And I think it's also important to remember the role that healthy food, which a lot of this food is produce, and food that really supplements some of the things that people get from food banks, which are often non-perishables. So I personally have seen just the difference that having access to this healthy food can have to support other programs that are, helping people experiencing homelessness find housing. I personally volunteered and would just take fruit every week and make smoothies for people who were in a program here in Hollywood. And I cannot tell you the impact that simple thing I was doing had on people's lives. I had a woman come up to me and say, I've been in recovery, and your smoothies helped me stay on track with my recovery from addiction. And it was, I think we sometimes underestimate just how much small things that we do can really impact people's lives. So all of us can do a little, none of us can do everything, but it's important for us all to keep doing whatever little things we can.
Yeah, and I agree completely. It's so important to share our resources. One of the things, Nancy, I learned from you today, because I'm going to go onto your website, because one of the things we have with edible food is we have a lot of events here at USC where people have parties. Everyone knows tailgating's coming up, and that happens on campus. And there's about 3 or 4 events that actually have them catered, and we tend to get a lot of edible food left over. They've been pretty good since I've been communicating with them to give it to our workers, feeding people, like I said. But it would be great because St. Francis is partnered with the city. That's why we use them. But we don't have a third party that could pick up edible food on those weekend hours. When we have events, maybe, 3, 4, one game's going to be 7 p.m. What do we do? Is there a way we can get this to feed people before composting? So I'll be looking that up because that's, I think, very important. I'm all about feeding people first too, even if it's a community, some kind of program. We're still evolving, and I tell my team all the time, let's be innovative. Let's see what we could do to get this food into people's mouths before we actually put it into the compost. So it's definitely, if there's any nonprofit organizations out there that are in need of things like furniture, we get a lot of excess furniture, or they're moving, they're going to get rid of furniture that's perfectly donatable. We've been doing a lot of that lately, partnering with nonprofits to get it out. We were able to donate 53 chairs to a library in downtown LA. So just getting people aware of that, because they used to say, hey, can I have a roll off? I've got a bunch of furniture to get rid of. It's no good. And then you take a look at it and it's perfectly fine, so they just maybe got new furniture. I mean, it's fine, maybe it didn't match for them anymore, but it's definitely fine to be donated. And so we've been spending a lot of time doing those things. So we've had a hard time since we have a surplus store here. It closed down because of COVID. We had to make room for COVID PPE, and we didn't have a lot of space. So my department has really been tasked with finding homes for a lot of the excess furniture that comes out with move in, move out. Students need to get rid of things. What we did new for move out this past year, and that worked awesomely. We were able to collect 2 tons of non-perishable food and give it to St. Francis. We just put bins out there, and we put pictures of everything students could donate, like they had cans of soup or, packaging or whatever that was non-perishable. We were able to give 2 tons of it away to St. Francis and donate that, which would normally go into the waste. So, yeah, that was good.
Thank you, Gina and Nancy. Very informative. We appreciate your time and providing that information. We have a couple more minutes until we'll start the water conservation panel. There are a few hands raised out there, I see. And so I'm going to ask Karina if she wants to take a few minutes and call on people with their raised hands, and we can answer any questions that there might be. Also encourage people to continue using the chat to put in their questions or provide resources that they're aware of. Karina, you want to call on some hands?
Yes. May I have Karen? I see your hand raised. Do you have any questions for our panel?
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute. Yeah, I'm on the industrial waste fog team, so we routinely inspect restaurants. Is there, and I stepped away for a while, so I apologize if I missed something, but is there a nice, simple handout we can give people that says, 1, the legal obligations, and then 2, how easy it is to do this and the benefits of it, so that, because I mean, a lot of the times you're going in there, they're busy, they're rushed, but it's something that we can actually leave with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're currently preparing one with the Department of Sanitation as part of our transportation project that we can just hand out. In the past, we've mostly directed people to our website, or I have staff in the field that's educating donors. So having that available is something we're going to focus on to bring in more donations so we can spread them around. Absolutely, we'll have one of those in the future. So if you want to, maybe if you shoot me an email at hello@foodcyclela.org, we can follow up with you. I just have an artist working on all those right now. Perfect timing. Thanks, Karen.
Look forward to it.
Okay, well, we were right on track to move into our water conservation panel. So Let me turn it over to, I believe Jerry is going to be our moderator for that. Is that correct? All right.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone, again. My name is Jerry Valido, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Office of Community Beautification with the Board of Public Works. Again, welcome to all of you. We're really happy to have so many people here this morning. I will be serving as the moderator for this next panel on water conservation. Thank you all for attending. This particular topic does have a variety of aspects upon which we could focus. However, for the purposes of this panel, we are going to look at water conservation from a community improvement and a public works perspective. Today, I have two panelists who are experts in their respective fields here to share their insights on their particular involvement with water conservation. Just a reminder that this is an informational session where we'll be inciting some creative thought as it relates to this topic. And in an effort to stay on topic and respect the time of our panelists, I'd urge anyone that may have an unrelated issue to discuss to please do so independently of this forum. I'll be happy to give my attention to your concerns after the discussion. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, we have Mr. Stephen List. Mr. List is an urban garden educator, lecturer, and landscaper. He's an agriculture teacher at Sylmar High School and an urban garden lecturer for LA Sanitation and Pacoima Beautiful, who holds weekly workshops throughout the city of LA. And he's a bit of a veteran of our KLAB conference. He had a very successful agricultural segment at last year's KLAB conference. So welcome to Stephen today. Our second panelist is Anna Tabuena-Reddy. Anna is a registered landscape architect with over 15 years of experience working in both the public and private sectors. She is currently charged with grant development and interagency coordination in the City of LA's Bureau of Street Services. In this role, she leads her team in seeking large-scale grant funding in the range of $20 to $50 million to implement improvements in the city's street funding or in the city's street network. Her goal is to integrate urban greening and stormwater capture into Streets LA's current project portfolio to diversify its traditional focus on active transportation. So again, good morning to our panelists, and thank you for your participation today. I'm going to begin with addressing a question to Anna. And the question regards Mayor Garcetti's Executive Directive number 25, also known as LA's Green New Deal, which focuses on LA achieving a low carbon green energy future. So within this directive, the subject of zero wasted water is discussed. So Anna, I'd like to ask, what should constituents who seek to undertake community-driven landscaping projects in the public right-of-way take into consideration with regards to irrigation and the goal of zero wasted water?
Hello, good morning, everybody. It's still morning, 11 o'clock. It's amazing to be here and see the number of participants in this meeting. I think this is the largest Zoom or Google Meets meeting I've ever attended. So in regards to your question, Jerry, thank you. As you mentioned, water conservation is prominently mentioned in the Mayor's Green New Deal. So to achieve the goal of water conservation in the context of adopt a median projects, which by the way includes not just medians, but parkways, applications should include water efficient irrigation in their project proposals. We always get asked, why replace existing irrigation systems in medians and parkways? The reason for this is usually we have old irrigation systems that are not as water efficient as they can be with current technology. And so we asked for replacing those old water inefficient irrigation, or if currently they don't have any irrigation systems. But one thing that is overlooked a lot, but contributes a great deal towards the goal of water conservation, is the types of plants we use. It is key. So the reason for this is because natives, California natives, are adapted to our local climate. So they need less watering than plants that come from wetter climates. So they can basically deal with our drought conditions, which I know everyone is well aware of in this meeting. because they've evolved certain characteristics over time that have allowed them to grow in their native habitat. And of course, they also have added benefits such as biodiversity, eliminating growth of non-native plants and eliminating pests, and they attract beneficial insects and wildlife. So we've been recently asking, not recently, but we've always been asking our applicants and noting it on our feedback comments on their applications, highlighting the importance contributions of natives to water conservation. We've been emphasizing this and letting them know that by putting in new water efficient irrigation systems and using natives, that they can contribute towards the goal of our city for water conservation. So if you could imagine all the community groups en masse convert many of our city's turf, parkways, and medians into natives, how much water savings that will achieve, in addition to biodiversity benefits and the beauty and sense of place that California natives provide. So that's my sort of short answer to your first question there, Jerry.
Great, thank you very much, Anna. I'd like to quickly jump over to Mr. Stephen List and pose the question to Stephen. Sir, in your experience as a horticulturist and a community agriculturist, what types of best practices do you follow in the way you provide your gardens with life-sustaining water while dealing with the challenge of a mega drought that the city is currently experiencing?
First of all, it has not been easy, and trying to follow the rules that we're being asked to do, we've been able to, but it's a challenge, and it's a challenge for everybody. And as Anna was saying, number one, I try to tell people to focus. Let's look at your irrigation system and see what it's doing. How much water are you wasting? And the biggest thing that I try to tell people and challenge these people to is understanding the plant. Not only the natives, but California-friendly plants, drought-tolerant plants, understanding those plants and how much water they really need. I have a thing, I've been doing a lot of water workshops this past month of August for LA Sanitation. And we've been talking about sprinklers, but we also talk about, there's 3 items I like to tell people. Number one, understanding your soil. And you have 2 extremes. You have a very sandy soil or you have a very clay soil. If you have a very sandy soil, you're going to need a lot more water. If you have a very clay, the clay will retain the soil. Number 2, understanding your plant, what that plant needs. Whether you use like this book here, I really like the Western Garden book, and it's an encyclopedia of plants, and it tells you how much water a plant needs and how much exposure. Exposure meaning how much sunlight it needs. And then third, understanding your irrigation system. Do you have a drip system? Do you have overwater system? Do you have an overhead watering system? Do you have bubblers? There's a lot of different types of sprinklers, and understanding those 3 items, you'll be able to utilize your water properly. I like to tell people, hey, instead of thinking of this as a drought, as a problem, why not understand your plant's needs first and then being able to apply that to your thing. People tend to do, they're jumping out off the board with this, is they want to pull out all their plants, they want to pull out all their gardens, and they need to understand those 3 items first, and then I think that they could save a lot more water. Number 1 problem for gardeners, does anybody know? That's your question. As a teacher, I like to ask a question. Number 1 problem is overwatering. It's a fact. A dying plant from overwatering looks exactly like a dying plant from underwatering. So your mind is saying, okay, when you see a plant wilting, you want to pour more water on it. And that's not true. So you really have to take those 3 things into consideration, and that will help you save water, but it will also be beneficial for the plants. Does that make sense?
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen, very much. I'd like to jump back to Anna. Actually, let me first check to see here. Please, we do have this chat box here if you have any questions. To please feel free to put some messages in there. So let me actually go to that first. We have a question here from Leon. If I see plants with leaf dropping or leaf drooping, if I see plants with leaves drooping, doesn't that mean that the plants need more water? And I think Stephen might want to answer that.
That one? Not necessarily. Again, it probably is too much water. So, you know, you really have to, it's like moisture meters. I don't have any of the moisture meters in front of me to show you, but the DWP offers these for free. And at my workshops, we're giving them away right now. When you're using a moisture meter, you don't just stick it into the ground. You dig down a little bit, maybe dig down 6-8 inches, then use your moisture meter. And again, what I said, an overwatered plant looks exactly like an underwater plant. So understanding how much water that plant really needs is going to help you. But just because you're losing leaves dropping, not necessarily means underwater. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say most of the time it's caused by too much water. So understanding those things is going to help you. So you really got to figure out if there's moisture down maybe a foot. Okay, dig around, go down a little bit. The top of the soil is going to be dry. Those roots of trees and plants, they go down really deep. So you could have plenty of moisture down below. Does that help a little?
Great, thank you. And he actually followed up by saying that the ground soil is cracking like a desert as well. So he was concerned with that.
Then it very easily could be. It depends on what plant he's having problems with. Was it Leon? What kind of tree or what kind of plant were you having issues with? Okay.
Well, while I wait for...
I can contact him later and I'll help him too.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. We'll be able to get the contact information for both Anna and Steve out on the chat. And if you want to have a side discussion with a little more depth to it with either of our panelists, please feel free to do so. I'm going to jump back to my question list just really quickly, and then we can go back to the chat. Back to Anna for a second. Anna, in regards to the types of projects that are being installed on the public right-of-way, should any of our constituents want to install a landscaping project, what types of irrigation components might be involved in these projects should they choose to do them?
Okay, so like the simplest components would be a way to deliver the water, a water delivery system, so such as the polyethylene tubing or PVC piping for underground water supply. One important thing is the emitters to deliver the water directly to plant roots. That's another water efficient way to water our plants so that wind and runoff does not result from overspray. Another is having a water filter to keep debris and filter out of the system, and water pressure regulators to make sure water is supplied evenly across the system, valves to control the flow of water, a controller, and a backflow preventer that functions to stop water from flowing back into the pipes, and it keeps potable water supply safe for everyone. There's a few of those, and I just wanted to offer that if folks don't have a landscape architect or a landscape designer in helping them provide the application package together, that our folks at Urban Forestry, our landscape crews, can offer guidance at the site to see what's needed, because every site is different. Some have functioning backflows and functioning controllers, and all you need to do is replace the other components. And some have completely old and non-functional devices, and so in that case, you would have to provide those types of devices. But like I said, every application is different, and so we'll be happy to help anyone that doesn't have an expert in their team.
Great, thank you for that, Anna. I want to acknowledge a couple people that have raised their hands. I believe Mr. Paul Bowers was first. Paul, did you have a question you wanted to pose to our panelists?
Yeah, along the same lines as Steve was mentioning with overwatering as opposed to underwatering being the problem. I wonder if people are aware that most of the times if you're using a hose out here in Southern California, for the first 30 seconds, unless you cut off the water at the spigot, you're spraying scalding water on your plants because the water inside of a hose, if it's 50 or more feet, heats up in the sun, obviously. And I've had this problem, so I just wonder how come I've never even heard of this issue, because it's as you can imagine, tough to try to help your plants and then you end up figuring out you're burning them in a drought. Steve, do you know are there any ways that people are made aware of this? Because I just feel like a lot of people don't know that they're hurting their plants when they're trying to help them.
You know what? I like that. I agree with that because nobody's ever really mentioned that to me. And I know that, like when I'm putting water in the dog's bowl, first thing I'm going to do is put my hand on it and feel it. And it only takes a few seconds for it to go through. But you're right. It's not the best thing in the world for them. And again, in order to tell people about these things, it's education. You know, you come to my workshops. You know, every Saturday I have a workshop. I got one at Lopez Canyon this Saturday. And when people ask these questions, we educate them. And that is something that I am going to talk to people about. I really like that. You know, I've never had anybody mention that, but you're absolutely right. And anything we can do to help these poor little plants, we got to try, right? So good job.
Thanks.
Another thing I'd like to mention, the DWP is allowing you to hand water with the hose. And I really don't like that idea because when you're watering with a hose, you're watering very inconsistently. And you're going to tend to water more. If you decide to use a hose and do that, put it on some type of a timer and regulate it. Plants, like humans, like a consistent watering, whether it's once a week, once a month. But if you're watering, let's say 20 minutes one day, 5 minutes 3 days later, that plant isn't going to be happy. So if you're consistently watering your plants, they're going to do a lot better than if you're using a hose and just randomly doing it. And I'm a firm believer that by using the hose, you're going to waste a lot of water. I drive by and I see people early in the morning out there watering with the hose. And, you know, some of the plant's going to get enough water, some of it's not. Not a good idea. So if you're using a hose, perhaps a timer. There are those ones you attach to the faucet that are pretty good. But I'm more of a believer in timers, sprinkler systems, and doing it properly, and then knowing those sprinkler system and how much water that they're putting out as proper watering. But thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
I'd like to add to what Steve said. Sometimes we get applications where folks say, we'll just hand water it. And we really try to encourage them to put in a system because as Steve mentioned, it's more prone to water waste when people water. Some folks are just, I'm in the mood to be out there watering, and next thing you know, they're in one plant for 10 minutes and some plants don't get enough. So it's very inconsistent. So a system is much preferred.
Very much.
Seems like nobody knows about aeration either.
You know, they do and they don't. But again, this is all educational purposes. And Paul, when you say aeration, I think we can go really into depth with that. We don't really have time. But not only a good aeration on your lawns or your ground covers or around your plants, but also I'm a big believer of mulch too, and mulching properly. That will save you water too. And by the way, sanitation does have free mulch for you. There's sites all over the city. And get your irrigation systems up to date. Figure your plant systems out and what the plant needs, and then mulch everything. You're gonna save water if you use the mulch.
Thank you. You sure did. I wanted to go back into the chat real quick, and I think Steve had already touched on this a little bit. So if you have anything more to add, Steve or Anna, if you want to jump in with this one. Lottie Cleveland is asking, what do you advise for homeowners who cannot afford a watering system? How do we take care of our lawns?
Well, DWP has a turf replacement program where they encourage folks to apply for a rebate program so that if they have currently water guzzling lawns, they can convert it to California natives or drought tolerant planting in return for, getting a portion of that improvement compensated by LADWP. So that's one way to reduce costs for irrigation and even for your planting needs.
I totally agree with you, Anna. Also, just to let you know, DWP puts out a really good book that I like. It's got a lot of helpful hints that will help you save water. It's called California Friendly, and it touches on irrigation systems, soil, plant material. This can help too. But if you decide to do hand watering on your plants and yard, please try to at least attach some type of a sprinkler system with the timer to the hose. Again, Anna and I both emphasize that hose watering is a very inconsistent way, and you're going to either waste water or the plants are going to get too much or they're not going to get enough. But going the route of the drought tolerant, California friendly native, that hopefully will help you too.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And I believe we have Claudia Inez has raised her hand. Claudia?
I want to thank my stepdad for embarrassing things that he made us do when we were younger that I now appreciate so much. We had several trees in our home. So my stepdad got the bright idea because we used to wash a lot from home. So on the second load, we would have a pool, like it was, I guess, a thing for the pool to clean out the swimming pools. I don't know how he managed to connect it to one of the connections from the laundry machine. So on the second load, which is the rinse, all that water would just flow and it would go towards the lawn, towards the trees, or sometimes we would put it in buckets and we used to manually go and water the plants because it was a long driveway and the driveway consisted of several trees. So that's how we used to save money. And on our shower heads, we used to have a device that would pause the water as you're scrubbing or cleaning yourself. And it was just, if my stepdad heard the water just consistently running while we were showering, it was a problem. And I get it now, it's wastefulness. And so we used to use that. Maybe a lot of people that have big families and they do laundry, you could always reuse the rinse. And as per mulch, like I'm the captain of the City of Watts Garden Club. I started that along with 3 other ladies. And what we do is we walk around and we help people to beautify their yards. Sometimes they don't have the instruments or they just don't have the time. And they have to understand that it matters. It matters to the property value of your neighbors, to the aspect of and presentation of the city. So we find an amicable way to offer our help and mostly express that you don't need several plants like in the front of the yard, and that mainly to also use mulch. This is what I use in my, I don't know if you could see it. This is a bucket. This is an example of, can you see? This is a bucket, and this is what I use for mulch, like to fill in the extra dirt. It's this paper, or my own mulch. We do our own fertilizer with carrot skins or egg peels. And the main problem here is the people wasting the water, and the fact that some of the plants that are not water friendly need to be trimmed or removed, and we need to promote a little bit of more landscaping, like rocks, or that, what is that, those red little bricks called? It's like a red little type of mulch. And this is what I go by. This is my go-to book. I don't know if you guys could see it.
Yep.
Yes, we can see it.
But my thing is, I want to help people pick plants that are more that bring out the homes. And I mean, in the Latino community, we have the problem of doing like we overflow our front yard sometimes with different plants and different fruit trees and stuff like that. So we're trying to make a change and also promote more succulents and cacti. And I'm the one that's in charge of cleaning all of Wilmington, like Wilmington from 103rd all the way to 110. I've been doing that for the last month and a half, and it's tough. Like a lot of people don't do their yards, or they just they don't water the front yard, and it makes a difference. I mean, to the value of the property, not just that, to the green air movement. And I try to promote the recycling, so we use the recycling towards our bills and stuff.
That's great. Claudia,
But I
thank you
wanted
so
to-
much for sharing that information. If you could please put your email address, if you would like to share your email address in the chat, if anyone would like to contact you to get more information about what you do down there in Wilmington, it would be appreciated. We thank you for your service down there.
Yeah, I thank Steve a lot. I followed you before, Steve. You are the best, and I followed some of your stuff on YouTube. Oh, you're my guru. It's a pleasure. Steve.
Come
It's a
see
pleasure.
my lectures. I'm
I
to
know,
South
it's a
LA.
pleasure.
Come see my lectures.
I think I'm a bit nervous because I'm in the presence of my guru, but thank you. Excited. I got.
Thank you very much, Claudia. I appreciate it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Claudia. I had another follow-up question, and I acknowledge Carol Hart. I see her raising her hand there. I just wanted to follow up with one more question for Anna. I see that Anna's also put some very informative stuff into the chat for some people. But Anna, are there any methods that you might suggest for people to offset the costs of any kind of a public right-of-way project that they might be interested in doing where it deals with landscaping?
Yeah, so thanks for that question, Jerry. So besides the rebate programs that are available right now for turf conversions, I can't emphasize it enough how if you do plant natives or drought-tolerant plants, they minimize maintenance costs. And that's because, you don't have to replace them as much. They can stand up to the heat better than other types of plants. They don't have this type of pests that plants that don't belong in our climate have. They're able to deal with just some multiple problems that non-natives give us. So because of that, as you put in your projects, don't think about just the installation phase of it, but also the continued maintenance of the project so that it's still viable many years from when you first install it. And so the overall cost of maintenance can be reduced by simply using native plants and drought tolerant plants. And then, of course, as I mentioned already, there's the bonus of creating habitat and biodiversity and additional urban cooling that these landscaping provide. Another thing I wanted to know, which is not quite related to offsetting the cost, but of course we prefer trees. They provide shade and multi benefits, but the public right of way is usually very constrained in terms of space. And so a good way to still provide the cooling benefits that greening provides and other benefits that it provides is to focus energies also on native and drought tolerant landscaping in addition to trees. But again, there's already existing trees. Sometimes they have to deal with power poles, fire hydrants, meters, there's just a lot of things in the public right of way. And so I'd love to have everyone focus their energies also on native landscaping because water conservation, and it will be less expensive in terms of maintenance. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Anna, for that. Carol, would you like to pose a question?
There you go. Okay,
There you
sorry,
go.
I had trouble. Actually, comments, maybe questions. I've already allowed my lawn to die years ago, and I don't even know if I could possibly apply to the LADWP lawn replacement since it's gone already. But I am hand watering. I don't have the money to be able to install irrigation systems or pipes. I'm not working. I'm recovering from surgery, brain surgery recently, but I am lovingly hand watering trees and the plants that I am endeavoring to preserve. I know earlier the lady was talking about, Claudia was talking about basically gray water irrigation, and that's something that I studied a bit when I studied sustainable design. What I'm concerned about is, what is the city doing now? What sorts of programs does the city have now for senior citizens who are on a very low fixed income, installing gray water management systems so that they can irrigate safely? Also using biodegradable, safe detergents is important. I'd like to know more about those systems, and I would like to share that information with my community. I am a neighborhood council member and co-chair of our beautification and infrastructure committee. In addition to being able to water, you can water decorative plants, not food plants, with gray water. I also have studied that in ancient times, sorry, my dog. In ancient times, certain native indigenous populations would actually bury terracotta vessels in the ground and fill them so that the water would naturally, through osmosis, go out into the soil and help the plants nearby. I think that's not a bad system at all. Most of us can get hold of terracotta pots and put them down into the soil so that only the very lid is outside, and then fill them up with water. Is that something, Steve, you've ever dealt with? Is that kind of system for putting, I don't know, a few days worth of water into the terracotta pot that then the plants will naturally?
There's I can't think of the name. It works, but on small scale.
Yes.
And if you have large trees, obviously no, but on small scales, absolutely. The terracotta pots will gradually release the water. And there's pros and cons with pottery. Like if you have terracotta pot, you're going to have to water the plant more, okay, because they do breathe, other than a plastic pot. But in your case, you're talking about shoving the terracotta pot in the ground. But there's a name for the system, and we just talked about it at my last lecture. So I can't really think of it. Anybody know what the name of that is?
French drain system.
No, you make these terracotta pots into, it's an Indian thing.
Yeah, it's indigenous Americans did it.
There's
And I'm sure, when you say Indian, I'm sure indigenous East Indians.
I'm so
did it
sorry.
too.
I should know that, and I don't, but I'm not the best with these Zooms. I apologize to everybody. I did it for over a year. Here he goes. Ula.
Hola.
That's it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's oh yes.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. I can't even read either. But even Mabel said so. I think I got a few people. Some of my friends are online here too, helping me out. Thank you for watching my back here. But yeah, those are great, but small scale. Okay.
Now for trees, because my own trees in the parkways surrounding my home are not doing well. They're having a hard time. And my concern is with surface watering, it's just not efficient.
No.
And so what I would really like to do is see about doing the same sort of thing, maybe a French drain, but digging down into the earth, possibly with an auger, and then creating maybe even a PVC, a broad PVC pipe that I can put water down in, like put it 4 or 5 or 6 feet down, so that none of it is being wasted on the surface. It's all going
just be
right under the root.
careful where you're watering your tree. A lot of people think they need to water the tree around the trunk of the tree. That's not true. The tree accepts its water at the drip line where the branches extend.
The canopy.
Careful, the canopy.
Right.
When you're putting these things in and you have an existing tree, and then also a lot of these trees that are on the parkway, they're doing fine. They don't need a lot of water. They're purposely planted because they're drought tolerant.
Right.
I had somebody in Sunland ask me to come out and look at the trees on Foothill Boulevard, saying they're not getting proper water, they need more mulch or this. They're fine. They're, you know, if they're looking good at right now, this time of year, you're good to go. So, you know, if the tree looks good right now on the parkway, you're okay. So
well, unfortunately, the trees on my parkway do not look good. And I have to tell you that here in North Hills West, having been in beautification and on the council since 2013, it seems to me that because of the water cutbacks, homeowners have watered the parkway trees even less than ever.
Probably.
And I'm afraid we've lost approximately 50% of our trees.
Where do you live?
Pardon?
What area do you live in? You said North Hills West, what, Granada Hills?
I live in Granada Hills because it was just changed, Granada Hills South, but I am a council member on North Hills West, which is south of Lassen and Plummer and down to Roscoe, between Balboa and the freeway. But
contact your city councilman, Mr. Lee, and I think he can help you and point you in the right direction. If not, contact me and I can maybe come out, or I'll help you out a little bit.
Right. The real deal is that I know that the city will provide trees, but the homeowners have to agree to water them.
Yeah.
So I would love to engage you. Maybe we can put together some public forums and we can teach our stakeholder homeowners what's necessary, because we want.
I'm hoping to do a workshop for Mr. Lee in October or beginning in November. So stay tuned. We'll see. Again, everybody, I'm doing a workshop day after tomorrow at Lopez Canyon. You're more than welcome to come. It'll be all about water. The guest speaker is me, so you got to put up with me for 2 hours to get your free plants.
What time?
9 to 11.
Okay. Thank you. And if you haven't already done so, can you please put your contact information in the
yeah, but I don't know how. I'm trying to look in the chat.
Can one of our partners, can Jerry or somebody
we're going to make sure that we have all the contact information posted there. Thank you so much for your
I'm
for your
open.
question.
You can have my phone number, email.
Very much.
So we have about 7 minutes left, and I just want to make sure that I'm able to give as many people the opportunity to speak. I had one more question for Steve, though. Steve, really quickly, if you might, just for the knowledge of our viewers today, if you might just touch on some of the different things that you talk about in your workshops and the kind of instruction that you give real briefly, so that, you know, people can get an idea of what kind of knowledge they can garner from you, that'd be great.
It's really, really basic. Again, the 3 steps is understanding your plants, understanding your soil, understanding your irrigation system. Putting those 3 things into your plan is going to help you. Also, mulching, very important. Drought tolerant California natives, understanding that planting those is going to save you water, but be very careful. I got a lot of people right now this summer, since June 1st, when they put these restrictions, they're tearing out their garden, their lawns and everything, and they're planting right now. And this is not a good time to plant. The best time of the year is fall. Fall is for planting. That way you have all winter long for the plants to get a good root system to take the hot temperatures. If you're planting now, you're going to do the plant more damage than good. So wait. And when I say fall, I'm telling you late October. October, we're notorious for having a huge heat spell. We always get a huge heat spell in the middle of October. So even for winter vegetables, I tell people to hold off till Halloween, beginning of November. But if you're going to change over to a drought tolerant / native California friendly garden, start thinking about it now. Start planning for it now, but plant it in the fall. Remember, fall is for planting. Not Southern California, not New York. So keep it, understand Southern California is very unique. Does that help a little bit?
That's beautiful. Thank you, Steve. We have a quick question in the chat from Timothy, and I think this might be directed to Anna. When you order an A permit to have landscaping done in the parkway, a dig alert is enacted so as to check if there are pipes or utilities in the parkway. Oh, I guess it's not a question. I guess
I think
more
it's
of
just a
comment.
statement.
It's a statement. Okay. I read that incorrectly. Let me see here. Anybody else here? Well, I see Paul, his hand went up. Paul, I'll give you 2 minutes, my friend. Go ahead.
I'll make it quick. As a wheelchair user, the sidewalks often are dangerous and hazardous because of street trees that have died and been removed, and the pits are hazardous, especially for people who have strollers or anyone who's walking at night or who's old who can't see perfectly. To whom would people report or tell, I've got an area on the sidewalk where there was a tree and now it's a pit. It's not flat, it's not safe. Who do we call about that?
Paul, so you could just email me and I'll forward your requests to the proper folks. It's usually Bureau of Engineering, not street
Okay,
services. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Great, thank
could
you for
also
that.
reach out to your council members on that, because they do have the sidewalk replacement program, which is going on right now. So, wait for Anna, get the email from her, send the emails, do your research. And what district do you live in, Paul?
Oh, you're on mute.
Echo Park and Echo Park Ave, and even on Sunset, really, really heavily trafficked areas, there are giant square pits that are dangerous, and we're all paying out when people get hurt from walking into them.
Yeah, well, there are programs now, and there's money that is allocated for that because of the trees. So that you got to reach out. Anna will give you some information. Reach out to your council person. I believe that's I'm going to say CD1.
Mitchell Farrell, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Check and then start with that.
13.
And then if you continue to have problems, let me know. I'm very involved with the CFAC. I represent CD7 up here, so I possibly could help you a little.
Thank you.
All right, great. Well, it looks like we are very quickly winding down on time here. I just wanted to take a real quick second to once again thank Ms. Anna Tubueno-Reddy and Mr. Steve List for joining our virtual panel here today on water conservation. It is quite a broad topic, and I'm actually very happy at all the input and questions and comments that were put in the chat and all the hands that were raised today regarding this. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating. And again, to Anna and Steve, thank you so much for your time, your knowledge. And we hope to have you both back again next year, and hopefully it'll be in person next year, and we can, benefit from your knowledge again. So at this point, we're going to end this panel. And again, if you have any questions or comments or any kind of information that you may need, please feel free to reach out to any of us at the Office of Community Beautification, and we will be more than happy to route you to the appropriate people. So at this point, I guess, what are we doing now? We're going on to the last panel, right, Karina?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
One thing real quick.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, I'm sorry. Somebody had just asked in chat about the rain barrel. Look behind me. Those are the rain barrels. I believe you're raffling some off today.
Yes, so we did a first
Oh, you
raffle.
did it?
We will be doing one more raffle at
Look,
the end.
look for us. We'll be doing rain barrel giveaways soon. And yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a lot of those, but we'll see. Okay. Bye, everybody. Gotta go to class.
Thank you. So yes, for all those still here, do stay tuned. We will be doing another second raffle at the end of this panel. So currently we will be starting our last panel for the day regarding the Beautify LA grant experiences. So with me here today, I would like to invite Sue Taylor from our Footbridge Square Median project, Lauren Nichols from our Rosewood Garden murals, and Elizabeth Fluke from our Devon Amazing Gardens Beautification project. So currently, all three are grantees of our Beautify LA Grant Cycle 1. these are our current recipients. Welcome.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. So again, congratulations to all of our panelists for being a grantee of Cycle 1 of the BeautifyLA grant. For those who may or may not be aware, the current cycle of the grant is already in round 2. For all those who are interested in any future projects, please keep tuned for when we open up for Cycle 3 of the grant. We're currently focusing on funding for that as well, so any donations are greatly accepted on that front. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into questions. I would like to ask all three, as a project manager, we do understand that this project is something that you work on in your spare time. So to help others get a holistic view, in a sentence or two, can you please share with us what it is you currently do for a living?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Flook, and I applied for the project as part of being the PTA president at an elementary school that my children go to, Delavan Drive Elementary. But my day job is that I am an activity specialist for the elderly for a company called Hummingbird Projects, so which also includes a lot of outdoor spaces as well, and having the elderly enjoy outdoor spaces.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. May I have Lauren Nichols go next, please?
Thank you, Karina. I was just saying thank you for allowing me to present today and share about our project. So I applied for the Keep LA Beautiful grant on behalf of Mid-City West Neighborhood Council. I'm currently serving as the chair for the Neighborhood Council. But in my day job, like Elizabeth, I have a full-time job and doing something in addition. I'm director of the Anthony and Jeannie Pritzker Family Foundation. We're a private family foundation supporting nonprofits, primarily here in LA County, focused on child welfare.
Thanks everybody for your patience. We'll be starting round 3, hopefully, of the grant cycle sometime next year. So please keep an eye out for that. Go ahead and follow us on social media. Keep an eye out on our website as well. Again, thank you to all the current grantees for sharing their experiences. I think they'll be very helpful to those in currently in cycle 2 to get started. Sue, go ahead.
I'm so sorry about that. So the capacity that I actually applied for the grant for was part of a neighborhood watch group that had gone to our neighborhood council to get approval to do this. In my day job, I'm actually a fertility tourism consultant. And I help people pursue more affordable fertility solutions like IVF, mostly abroad and in Europe.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. For my next question, I'd like for you all to share, please, why your project is important to you or to your community. So we'll probably go in the same order. Can I have Elizabeth go first?
Yeah, well, I'm also worked in conjunction with MSIM, who was the person who did the grant. And she was part of our beautification team at our school, and we have quite a large garden space that had already been utilized at different times for the kids for various, we connect with Enrich LA, and we have them come in and do garden projects on campus. However, the garden is quite large, so it needed a lot of attention, and given that the COVID and kind of thinking beyond the 4 walls of the classroom and giving outdoor spaces for the teachers to be able to utilize became something really important last year as the kids ventured back onto campus, and so did the teachers. And the garden provides such an amazing way to bring science and math into, tangible real life experiences for the kids. So just finding ways to create those spaces for them, and then also clearing out a number of spaces with this project that in the past had been, we have a very unique campus where there was an aviary and there was livestock on our campus at one point. And we're just a school right beside the 2 freeway. So it's not, any special location or anything like that, but they did have some really special spaces that we're able to now give attention to.
Thank you. Can I have Lauren go next?
Absolutely. So this project is important to me. It's in my neighborhood. This is a site, a little pocket park, so to speak, just adjacent to Fairfax High School that I pass every single day, whether I'm taking the bus or grabbing coffee. And I thought for a long time, wouldn't it be great if we could just do something in that space to activate it. There is so much kind of commercial activity and vibrancy happening in the Fairfax district, but you have this pocket park, which is right in front of a bus stop that no one's really hanging out at. So could we activate it through art? And so that was the kind of the big dream there. And so what we ended up doing was organizing the project kind of in two phases. One was a community beautification, where we enlisted a lot of different partners, including LACC, Fairfax District businesses, students from Fairfax High School, as well as community members and Mid-City West Neighborhood Council board members to help us in a big cleanup event at the park and along the commercial corridor that abuts the park. And then we did the mural installation as a phase 2, and we did a celebration around that, which was really special. But it was something that, you know, felt to me like, oh gosh, I would love to be able to do something like this, but it kind of felt impossible. So having the resources of Keep LA Beautiful and the technical assistance and support from your team really helped feel like, okay, there is a way to actually make this happen. And using kind of the platform of my role in the neighborhood council, I was able to make it happen. So this was kind of like, felt like a Leslie Knope moment of, oh, I want to do something really big and special, but how could I ever? And so, yeah, very proud of it. And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you. Sue, can we hear on why your project is important to you?
Sure. So I'm going to echo actually a lot of the things that Lauren said, in that this is in my local community. And it sort of started because I was walking my child to school every day. And so 4 times back and forth past this little triangle of land that was weeds and trash and really unattractive, but also just, you know, as an entrance to our neighborhood, just didn't look that good. And so I actually spent 6 years trying to get approval for it, because it had originally been tied to a different project that never got funding. And so, you know, we just sort of kept trying to work at it and figure out a way to try and make it happen. And we finally, by working with the council office and working with Jerry, were able to sort of figure out a way that the community could adopt this, and we could sort of take ownership of it in a long-term way and turn this, you know, triangle of land that was trash and weeds, that actually was a traffic hazard because you couldn't see past the weeds part of the time, and to turn it into, you know, a little, you know, garden of succulents and stuff that was beautiful when we walked through it, and also just reduce the likelihood of people throwing trash around and stuff, because, you know, because it was clear that we cared and we were working to maintain it. And we actually reached out to the community as a whole through the neighborhood council, through our neighborhood watch group, and we engaged the services of one of our local landscape companies that helped us sort of figure out what the right things were going to be for there, and then worked with the council and Jerry and your team to help bring the whole thing to fruition.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. That's actually a good transition to my third question. I would like to hear about, how did you all come up with your idea, and how can others discover the potential for any project ideas within their own neighborhood? Sue, if you want to go ahead and get us started with that one.
Sure. So, I mean, I think that I talked about that a little bit in what I was just saying, in that we saw it as an area of need, but really had no idea how to go about doing anything about it. So it took a fair amount of outreach and working with, at the time it was in Council District 4. So it was CD2. And so working with the council to try and figure out what we would be allowed to do, and then how to get it done. So I think that that sort of the time process for us was relatively long until we got to the point of figuring out what would be possible and then trying to bring that to fruition.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. Lauren, would you like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was mentioning, I had thought about, and was kind of the big dream was, how do we have art activate this unused space? We're lucky in the Fairfax district and in Mid-City West Neighborhood Council in general to have a lot of really great street art along Melrose corridor and on Fairfax. And so how could we kind of do that in an intentional way at the Rosewood Gardens Pocket Park? And so through the neighborhood council system, I became familiar with a lot of the nonprofits and community-based organizations in our area. And we have the Craft and Folk Art Museum, we have Greenway Arts Alliance. So these arts-focused organizations. And so I just started to cold call and email people and say, would anyone want to partner with us? You know, we're just getting started. I'm applying for this grant. Would you be interested? Because ideally, if we could work with a community-based organization, then this would help them kind of achieve their mission too, and give an emerging artist, that was the goal, somebody who hadn't had on their CV public art experience, or maybe an artist from an underrepresented group, be part of making this real. So a lot of cold calling to arts nonprofits, and ended up connecting with Inner City Arts, and bless them, they were just like, okay, let's hear what you're thinking. And they were just kind of all on board, and they ended up having this program. This is very serendipitous and a very cool program called Work of Art, where they're helping young people get familiar with the creative economy, and for high school, college age students to understand what it is to be a working artist in LA. So this was for them really kind of serving it up. Here is a platform, here are resources for young artists to be able to install a mural, design and install a mural. So working really closely with the Inner City Arts team, which by the way included a staff member, as well as a professional artist who served as a mentor, and then 3 youth artists. So that was kind of the team. And so we kind of met regularly, and I let them know about the unique characteristics of our community. Fairfax District has been for a long time and historically the epicenter of our Jewish community in Los Angeles. Talked about how it was also really the center of where the protests around social justice were in May 2020 after George Floyd's murder. And so and talking about the vibrancy of the commercial district in general, it going from something where you have anchor businesses like Cantor's, Jewish groceries, and delis, and then now you have Supreme, Hundreds, and these skate shops. So this kind of interesting dynamic. So they kind of took all of that information together, and then we didn't give them any creative direction, you know, and that was, I think, for them really exciting why they wanted to work on the project, because we also feel like we're in no space to dictate to artists what they should create. And given, to be honest, like the lower compensation amount for the artist stipends, this was kind of part of the, you know, the offer is that they get a lot of creative latitude. And then they just created a project that was so beautiful. We shared it with our board and the community. It's totally reflective of the space, and is really kind of meant to be a living piece of artwork where people can add to it, and it totally fits and is very cool. So that's how kind of the ideal all came together in terms of what the artwork was. And yeah, it was a really great process, and totally about partnership.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. Elizabeth, just to recap, how did you come up with your idea, and how can others discover the potential for future project ideas in their neighborhoods?
Well, we already had a strong focus on our garden area to begin with. And really what prompted the idea was this shift back onto campus after off-campus learning, and that idea of having outdoor space for the teachers to utilize. So the teachers had expressed a need. The principal was extremely supportive, and that's where we started getting creative and trying to find ways to make whatever accommodations we could with what was already existing, and then where we could go from there. And I'd say also what my partner wanted to share as well is just this encouragement that if there's any sort of place that you can brighten anybody's day, and any chances you have to like find these little pockets of places. That's mostly what she wanted to say is, you know, definitely it makes a huge difference spotting those places and being able to improve them. And we had worked really closely with you know, LAUSD and, you know, whatever supports they could give, and the parent community as well. And it was, I don't know if this isn't part of the other question, but we did come up with a lot of barriers given all the COVID restrictions and us being able to be on campus. So it was pretty amazing that even with all the restrictions we had and the very limited amounts of time, that we still were able to make something happen.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So I know you all may have touched on this a little bit, but maybe how about any tips on how you gathered support for your project, or how others who may be starting off or as was mentioned, not tied directly to an organization, nonprofit or otherwise, how they can get started in building that community. This is for anyone at large, if anybody would like to jump in first on that one.
I'll jump in on that. Oh, sorry, go ahead. So I think that for us, our initial start, because we are, we're not any formal organization. Our initial start was to reach out to our neighbor, to the council district first, to understand the jurisdiction of the place where of what we wanted to do. And I think that was probably the most helpful, because in our situation, which is a little bit unique, city and county there and utilities all had ownership over the area. So sort of assessing all of those things with the council district, and also actually with Jerry's help. Jerry's amazing. So assessing that and trying to figure it out. A good start, I think, is with your council member's office, because that's really, I think if it weren't for them, I might not have seen that this really can happen, because it seemed like a big project that seemed like a little bit too big for for us without an organization behind us to figure out how to make it happen. And so I think that the councilman's office really is what helped us recognize that, yes, this is a doable thing and we can break it into pieces and make it happen. And so once we sort of had the green light that we could move forward with it, then I reached out to just the initial neighborhood via social media and said, okay, let's build a small team of people that are invested in this, and let's just, let's bring it to fruition. And so we had a team of like 6 of us that met on Zoom, because it was COVID times. And so, we would meet after work on Zoom occasionally and come up with the plan for what we wanted to do. And once we had the basic plan in place, we reached out to a local landscaping company to help give us some input as to the right plants to use and how to plant them, and to help us do the layout and stuff. And they pro bono provided a lot of services to us because they're in our community and they wanted to support that. And they happened to be the same people that had worked on other medians in our neighborhood and right down the street. So it helped us create something that was cohesive to that. So I think, between those and then the outreach to the general community as a whole through the neighborhood council and also through social media, we were actually surprised at how many individuals were willing to contribute funds for us to bring this to fruition, in addition to some corporate funds that we were able to get and the grant. So pulling all those things together, it really was a huge group effort.
I agree. Thank you, Sue. Seeing that firsthand definitely is quite an experience. Elizabeth, I think I heard you also had some comments to add to this one.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, as far as I think what we ran into is we were able to gather a lot of support, and we had lots of volunteers that were willing. It added an extra barrier, the process they had to go through to be able to be on the LAUSD campus. So that's where we were able to easily gather lots of support. It was the transition between support and being able to translate that into actual hands-on volunteer hours on campus. And I think that's where it also led to, we were able to get the hours for the people working on campus. The people that did do it had to do increased hours, but then we also were able to get in extra funding to, for some of the costs of some of the items. And then we were able to bring in a lumber company that was able to provide some seating and things like that at a reduced cost, knowing that we had this link to the grant as well. So I don't know if that totally answered the question, and I think my advice would be, if you're not part of an organization, finding those organizations that you can partner with. And I think that is really key. Like we were able to find even a lumber company that was able to, do things at reduced cost, finding whatever links you can to build a community around the project.
I agree, and definitely. Thank you, Elizabeth. Lauren, just to recap, Any tips or advice, or how did you go about and gather that community, that support for your project?
Yeah, like I said in a previous answer, it was a lot of cold calling, but once you find the right partners, I mean, like I said, for Inner City Arts, that was the arts nonprofit that provided us the artists and led them through that process to create the beautiful mural we now have at Rosewood Gardens. For them, this was really the opportunity, and it felt so great to be able to kind of connect the pieces, where this was helping kind of give these young artists the opportunity, giving the organization something they could hang their hat on, and it was doing a huge favor for us because we needed arts capacity and supervision and all of that. So they supplied that. And I felt like as we were thinking about this project, which is again in the Fairfax district of Mid-City West, that we wanted to get the businesses to buy into this. This was a beautification project, and for the Mid-City West Neighborhood Council, we're always thinking about coalition building, right? How can we bring more people into the different things we want to do? And recognizing that Fairfax definitely could use some more TLC in general, that this beautification project could be kind of the first step to talk about how Mid-City West wants to lead these efforts. So I did, and some of my committee members, we went to up and down Fairfax, kind of knocking on doors, so to speak, dropping off flyers about the cleanup event in March, about the celebration in June, to kind of do the ribbon cutting for the mural, letting them know. It was a great way to let them know we exist, Mid-City West Neighborhood Council, to help them with any issues that come up. So again, helping us kind of do what we want to do anyways, letting the neighborhood stakeholders know who we are and what we're about, and that we're interested and committed to this. By the way, in doing all of that, we heard from people, oh, I have a power washer. Would you guys need that for the cleanup? I can have somebody organize it. And so it was just like little things like that kind of started to percolate, right? Where it's like, again, we kind of created the opportunity and found out through lots and lots of outreach, oh, well, this is actually a good fit for this group who wants to do cleanup anyways. This is a great fit for the arts organization who wants an opportunity. And so, by the way, so this project kind of has been catalytic to us connecting with the local businesses and even thinking broader of how might we help foment like a business improvement district in Fairfax or do other kind of bigger things now that we've kind of created some credibility with having done a successful project. We also are so lucky, just given what Mid-City West Neighborhood Council has done over the last 20 years. We work really closely with Councilmember Kretz's office. So when we let him know we were doing this project and that we needed a match, they were able to do that. We have local businesses, again, when we needed the match, we're happy to donate. So I felt like it was really just phenomenal because as we told people about this opportunity, they wanted to be part of it. And then when we did our ribbon cutting ceremony in June to celebrate the installation, we let each of those contributors have kind of the mic to talk about why this was important to them. So they really felt that sense of buy-in. This was something that they accomplished. Mid-City West Neighborhood Council might have been the catalyst, but they made it happen. I will say, you know, Elizabeth, when you mentioned about the challenges you had, you know, in barriers and working with LAUSD and stuff like that, we experienced that too. It's hard to navigate these bureaucracies. It was really hard to navigate the approval process. But again, we just thought like, let's ask everybody. And so as we were running into roadblocks with LAUSD, for example, we reached out to our local LAUSD board member, Nick Malvoin, who then had his staff make a call. And that made all the difference. So it's kind of about if you run into a roadblock one way, reach out to somebody else who might be able to help unlock the door or make an introduction for you in a way that, you know, cold calling. And if you don't have the relationship, it's really hard to make a lot of progress, right? The final thing I'll say, because it was a really kind of unexpected but very exciting element of our project. So when we did the ribbon cutting for the mural in June in this little community celebration, which by the way, we got donations of coffee from Kofax on Fairfax because we had the door knocking. They had their employees part sweeping. So that was great too. We had in-kind donations for this whole thing. But we let our local press outlets, Beverly Press and Larchmont Buzz, know that this was happening, invited them to come. And I don't know, I think it was through one of them, although no one is taking credit. They had written their own stories about the project, which was really exciting and great to see the artists have their, you know, names in print associated with this cool mural. But KTLA came down and did an interview with the artists and with me, and it was on the Sunday news, and we just were never expecting that kind of coverage. So it was a huge feather in everyone's cap, and yeah, phenomenal opportunity for all.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you all. These are such great experiences, and I think very helpful for our community to hear about and to understand. Definitely agree. When doing projects within our community or with our community, there's so many resources that we are so close to being connected to. If only the ask was there, like was mentioned, the opportunity was created. So at this time, before I open up for any other, or before I continue with my questions, I would like to open up for any current questions in the chat. I do see the first one from Francie Levine. Question: for the Pocket Park project and the median particularly, what are plans for maintenance long-term in terms of funding and or people power?
I'm happy to jump in on this one. In terms of maintenance for us, so we didn't do any kind of gardening. We didn't have to think about irrigation or who's handling kind of plant maintenance. It really was one time in the sense of the artwork was installed. But as part of our grant application and this part of our commitment to this part of our neighborhood is we had proposed doing an annual cleanup event on MLK Junior Day, which is a day of service, to bring everyone together. And so we could, you know, rally those folks who were with us for this project and kind of help clean up, take care of, like, you know, any basic gardening that needs to happen, or if there was any kind of updates to the mural in terms of inappropriate graffiti or anything like that. So that's what we're committed to. And because this project was something that Mid-City West Neighborhood Council really took the lead on and owns, we have not a huge budget as a neighborhood council, but we could kind of commit to making this a program that we do every year, and there are some resources available for ongoing maintenance.
So for our situation, we actually partnered with a local homeowners association of a condo complex that is across the street, and they agreed to provide ongoing water for the watering of this. And then we set up a community sign-up sheet so that we could get people to come in and water. We did videos as to exactly, with the landscape company help us put together videos to show people exactly what they needed to do, when they were going to do, you know, when they were volunteering to do the watering and maintenance of it. And then we opened that up to just our local neighborhood community so that people could sign up to do that, and then sort of handed that over to the HOA to manage, since it was their water that's that they volunteered to let us use. And so they're sort of managing that that sign up process and everything now. But so, you know, basically the ongoing maintenance is being donated within the community. And I'll say that it actually spurred community members to ask us about potentially adding on to the project and doing some more stuff. So it got people interested in what other things can we do to continue the momentum that we had from this project.
Definitely, I agree. I think, Elizabeth, anything to add? I do see a few more questions in the chat.
I mean, I can definitely say that this project certainly spurred interest ongoing, and it actually helps, you know, we have Enrich LA that had previously been engaged. It's making their ability to do the work they do in the garden easier, because we've cleared garden beds. And with the beds that we were able to clear this week, the 6th grade teachers, they're also doing modules to certify for international baccalaureate at our school. And they were able to request some garden beds. And we were able to say, yeah, we have 2 garden beds for you to use for your modules for sure. So it's kind of embedded into the care of it, is that now that the teachers are able to utilize it, it's another space for them. And that's kind of ensuring that it will be cared for.
Definitely, I agree. It's like each community member plays, I think, their role, especially where the location's at, the schools, the teachers, they'll definitely be taking a part in that. I do see a question from Helen regarding organizations where grant money could be found, such as the BeautifyLA grant. So all 3 have touched upon our council offices that they do have funding available for a similar type of neighborhood projects. So for all of those listening in, please feel free to contact your council district. In addition, LA has around 90 neighborhood councils that also do have funding available for similar types of projects. And then I'm sure the more you communicate and connect with your local communities, additional resources, as was mentioned, both corporate or private, would come into fruition as well. I do see some questions regarding shade structures for bus stops, which are being answered. Thank you, Jerry. In the meantime, while I look through the chat, I do see there are a few raised hands. Carol, do you have a question for our panel?
Sorry for the delay. I'm diligently copying and pasting everything that goes to the chat so that I can save it for later. Actually, it's not so much a question. I have, in fact, been working with CD12. I've worked with numerous representatives there, and I have not met with success. The gentlemen who take over and represent urban forestry, who represent the LA Bureau of Streets, because the pocket park I'm trying to improve was built by the city. It already has 7 or 8 existing huge concrete planters. It originally had irrigation provided by the city of LA, but when Terminator 2 was filmed, they turned off the water because they were jumping a giant 18-wheeler truck and a huge Harley-Davidson motorcycle off the edge of the bridge and down into the wash. It's a wonderful moment. The child gets saved by the Terminator guy, but our water never got turned back on. It's been 30 years, and I would like to see that reversed so that I can go to Theodore Payne Foundation, pick out some beautiful California natives, and replant those planters. But right now, I have no way to water them, and the city evidently doesn't want to turn it back on. I've been told by CD12 that there's evidently some discussion about, well, who should pay for the water? But to me, it's city property. So the city should pay for the water because, quite frankly, neighborhood councils don't have giant budgets. And at this point, I think water is probably pretty expensive for all of us. So I am exploring every option I can, and your help through the beautification office is going to be huge. Now, I did recently last year work with CSUN on a wonderful master's cohort resiliency plan for our area. They have subsequently, the professors there have subsequently offered to help assign some of their students to assisting with a wonderful sustainable design for this pocket park. So I have the intellectual backing of California State University at Northridge, and so I'll have that resource. A little money I have, but I think I could use some additional help from your organization, and absolutely any advice you have at all is greatly welcome. I'm not working now. I will throw myself into this wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Carol, for your comments. I do see there have been some responses in the chat to that, but please feel free. We're going to follow up with you regarding this project and try to get something in the works, a solution there. So thank you for that. Yes. I do see another hand, Paul Bowers. Do you have a question for our panel? You can go ahead and unmute yourself at this time, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah, when you mentioned new projects, and one lens it would be nice to think some people are thinking about is access and safety for your neighbors and family members who aren't as young and don't have as good balance and stuff. So there are ways that there are overlaps where instead of getting the engineering department to come out and rip up a whole thing, if you just plant and level up a lot of these sidewalks, and you'll be doing something that will be appreciated, not just because it looks good, but because it will allow people to feel like they can safely use their community. And it doesn't have to be that hard. I mean, if you just plant some jade or something that holds dirt, it'll make it a lot less harrowing for a growing segment of our population. That's it. Thank you. That could be a way to look at it, because you feel good when you it feels bad to see these things that they're dangerous and they're dangerous forever and just feel like, so I imagine it would feel good to help improve access. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely agree on that, Paul. So as was mentioned, as all 3 projects have done, in addition to our BeautifyLA grant, Jerry does manage our Adopt a Medium program. So we do have additional opportunities for everyone interested outside of the grant program to apply and start these projects within their neighborhoods. As Rachel mentioned in our keynote as well, there are additional resources for free tree planting in your parkways. Are there currently any other questions for our panelists regarding either their project specifically or their experiences? Looking through the comments, there are a lot of resources. Please feel free to contact us within the Office of Community Beautification for any further specific follow-up regarding your project. Seeing no current questions, I do want to ask all 3 ladies, like, what would you say are what do you wish you would have known when you first started your project? Something that would have been beneficial or helpful in getting your task accomplished? I'll leave that open to anyone who would like to go first.
I'm happy to jump in. Working with LAUSD was very hard. I mean, I'm so grateful for our board member, and that's not, you know, to be critical necessarily of LAUSD. They're a big agency, but I thought I was talking to the right person, and then it was a facilities person who I needed to talk to, and then we needed to go through insurance to make sure we weren't using lead paint. There was a lot that was like, I found out as we went along, and it became very pressured as we got closer to the deadline in terms of submitting paperwork to you all. So I wish I kind of had either baked in more time or somehow had like a magical navigator. LAUSD board member Nick Malvoin really kind of helped me break through and open doors. But the process of working with some of the public agencies or departments, I mean, for me, it was LAUSD, but my sense is probably in general, that might be the case, is just kind of navigating those processes and approvals and timelines.
I can definitely add that, not for this project specifically, but certainly for other projects that we've worked on, connecting with Jackie Goldberg's office for Board District 5 for LAUSD was very key in getting those projects moved forward. And certainly our Council District 14, his office has been incredibly supportive as well. So I definitely think that that's a useful tip for anyone to navigate those hurdles. And I'd say just for other tips, Em shared that, you know, definitely that utilize all the resources by BeautifyLA. The videos were great. Anytime she needed support, it was always there. And she felt that, you know, certainly just utilizing those resources is very important, and that reading all the instructions and having other people look over what you're doing and rely on your moral support as well as the tangible people that are there, but just even having a crew of people that are there cheering you on is also very helpful in gathering those people for yourself in the project.
I would say for our project, we actually started it out as an Adopt a Medium program, so we were engaged with Jerry very early on, and he was super helpful for that. What I probably wish I had done differently, just in terms of timing of everything, is that I didn't get the neighborhood council involved as soon as I should have, because I didn't recognize that it would need to go through land use, and they would have to vote on it, and then it would have to go to the full council, and they would have to vote on it. So that is a months-long process in some cases, and it was in our case. So I think if I had known, like, my recommendation would be to get the neighborhood council involved earlier in the process, not just the council district. So sort of having both of them probably involved earlier might have shortened the length of our process a little bit, and might have made it go, I mean, it all worked out, but I think I didn't anticipate or think about the fact that we would need the support of the council, of the neighborhood council to do what we needed to do. And so we just sort of had to take a pause to go through that process, which took the better part of 4 months in order to get through all of the getting it on the agenda, getting it reviewed, getting it voted on, getting it to the next step. So, just make sure that you plan some time in your timeline to go through, those necessary steps that need to happen. They were very helpful to us once we figured it out, but it was just sort of one of the things that probably delayed things a little bit for us. And then the only other thing I would say is that I think that oftentimes the idea of starting the applications and stuff can be a little bit overwhelming. And, my advice would be to just get started, because it really isn't even though it looks like it's a lot of steps, it really isn't that difficult. It's something that as long as you read the questions and understand what's being asked for and are able to provide it, I think it goes pretty quickly. And I think the key is in making sure that you're clear on what's being asked and what you're providing that is a match, and doing it in the format that is being asked of. So, but I think it can feel a little bit overwhelming when you haven't started yet, and it goes a lot better, a lot faster than you think it probably will.
Karina, may I add to what Sue was just saying?
Yes, please.
In my capacity as chair of Mid-City West Neighborhood Council, Sue, if you had come to us and said, I have a project, I want to lead it, I'm going to put all the sweat equity into it, I'm going to do the grant. I mean, again, serving it up for us. If we could co-sponsor it, if we could fund it through a neighborhood purpose grant to make it, even better, or, go to the next level in terms of scale. Again, the neighborhood councils, I feel like we are all so stretched thin. We're all volunteers, but if we have like a committed community person who wants to do the work, and we could kind of glom onto that and support it, that would, I think, in my case, if somebody came to me like you, Sue, with a project, I'd be like, okay, absolutely. How can we use our platform to make it possible, or leverage some of our resources to have a greater collective impact?
Thank you. I agree. These are all definitely good tips, good ideas for people to have in mind. We are nearing the end of our panel, but I do want to leave time. I see one raised hand. Sonia, do you have a question for our panelists?
Actually, the question is more directed toward you, Karina. I work with the Green Business Program with LA Sanitation, and one of the commonalities I see in many of these comments is that it is extremely difficult to find these resources. Who do you go to? Who do you ask? I need this. Where should I be directed? And 311 isn't always as knowledgeable as we would hope they would be. So in sanitation, in our program, we encounter the same problems, finding out who does this, who does that, who provides this. It's equally difficult for us. And we do a lot of, our program is free, so we're available to the public, anybody who is interested in becoming a green business. And we do try to acquire EPA grants and rebates, whatever we can, free aerators and things. But, Karina, I was wondering if you might have a list of contacts that can be shared amongst everybody. I've been trying to put one together so that our departments can work, easier with each other, and the information can be readily available. But again, it is difficult. I was just wondering if you have any way.
No, thank you, Sonia. I agree. That's actually a great point. Let's please definitely connect after the conference. And that's actually a good segue to help wrap up our panel, in that for any beautification project that anyone may be interested in, please feel free to contact us within the Office of Community Beautification. Even if we are not the initiating entity to help you start your project, we can at least help guide you in the right direction, as is mentioned. We can help connect you to your council districts, to your local neighborhood councils, or figure out which, if any, are in your area. So with that, I'd like to thank all three of our grantees. Again, thank you so much for being part of our panel. At this time, I'd like to invite everybody to please stay tuned. We do have time for one more raffle. And at this time, I would like to hand that off to Anna.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking around for towards the end of the conference. So I guess a few of you wanted me to try again using the jar. So here we go again. I'll try a few names, and if it's not working, we'll go ahead and choose the way we did it before. Okay. This is Johannes Asrat. Are you here? Once, twice, 3 times. Okay. How about Midna Esquivel? Once, twice, 3 times, not here. Okay. How about Regina Hamilton? Nope. Gotta try one more time. How about Gabriela Leiva? No luck? Okay, let me just try this way again. Oh, did someone say they're here? Okay, so here we go. And the lucky winner is Kathleen Travers. Kathleen Travers.
Oh, I see a hand raised.
Perfect. Congratulations. You won one of the 2 rain barrels. Okay, and the next one is random. Stephen Meeks. Are you here?
I see Stephen's hand raised.
Well, if you guys could please email me. I have left my email in the chat, but I'll write it again. And we'll go ahead and coordinate pickup or drop off for the rain barrels. Congratulations to all of our winners today. And now I will turn it to Jerry Valido, who will introduce our board members from KLAB. Cape Los Angeles Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Jerry Valido back again. And we're just coming, winding down this wonderful conference today. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our Keep LA Beautiful Advisory Board, or our KLAB Advisory Board. The KLAB Advisory Board is a nonprofit collaborative program between the Board of Public Works and its community partners, and it's managed by the Office of Community Beautification. Our city team is led by Board of Public Works President Aura Garcia, whom you all heard from earlier, as well as our Director of the Office of Community Beautification, Mr. Paul Roch. In addition, from OCB, we have our Grants Manager, Karina Casillas, Anna Wisar, who so skillfully handled our raffle a little while ago, and myself. We also have Diana Bulnes from our Office of Public Affairs, Joyce Amaro from our Bureau of Sanitation, and from Council District 2, the Director of Community Improvement out there at Council District 2, Jackie Keene. Our community partners include Hildreth Simmons, Ida Talala, Michael Klubach, Samantha Martinez, Suzanne Simmons, and Jill Nolan. And we have also been very fortunate to partner with Coca-Cola, who has provided the rain barrels for our rain barrel program. So now I'd like to give an opportunity for a few of our KLAB members to take the virtual mic and say a few words to all of you. Since we are a bit limited on time, I'd just like to remind each member to try and keep their comments to under 3 minutes so that everyone has their fair share of speaking time. I was going to acknowledge Jill Nolan, but I did not see her in the chat. Jill, are you around?
I am. It's
there she is.
Jill Mather, but that's okay.
Go ahead, Jill. Thank you.
Hi. Yes, it's Jill Mather, and I am founder and president of Volunteers Cleaning Communities, which is an organization that 5 to 6 times a week with groups are cleaning the streets, the highways, the LA River, illegal dump sites, abandoned homeless sites in the San Fernando Valley completely. So that's kind of what we do. And our goal is to get as many community members as we possibly can involved in their community. So I loved what everybody was saying during the panels today, that's what it takes. It takes the community deciding that it's theirs and taking ownership in making it more beautiful. In our case, we've decided that trash and debris is just unacceptable. Illegal dumping is unacceptable. And we just go ahead and do it. So wherever we see it, which is usually what it is, or I get a lot of emails requesting particular areas for us to be able to do it. But we have already this year collected over 100,000 pounds of debris, and we do not use 311. My partner Don Larson has a big city truck, and we get rid of it all of ourselves. So we're not taxing the city. We decided that just like if you have dog poop and you pick it up in a bag, that bag needs to go in the trash can. So we're picking up trash, putting it in a bag, and we're putting it in our trash can, which is either LA Sanitation or the land dump. We love volunteers. So if anybody'd like to help in any community in the San Fernando Valley right now, please contact me at jill@vcc.world, and we'd love to have you. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jill. And again, I'm sorry about your last name.
It's okay.
I'd like to have Suzanne Simmons take the virtual mic now and say a few words, please.
Okay, good morning or afternoon now. I got on the board a long time ago, and I wrote a grant and included Keep America Beautiful in the grant, and they found out about me. I'm from Akron, Ohio, and Akron used Keep America Beautiful a lot, and so that's how I got on. I've written several grants, and then you have to worry, like the ladies who were talking about grants. I wrote a grant that got banners, the first South Central neighborhood council that got banners, and I was working with Food from the Hood, which was out of Manual Arts High School and Crenshaw High School, and one of the ladies who was a student in Food from the Hood did our designs for the banners, which was nice, and we paid her so she would get started. And then this weekend on Sunday, the tree trimming people came, and they left early, and they missed the tree next door to me, and I had to call them Monday morning. I didn't realize that when they get an emergency call, and he told me they had 3, tree fell on a home, a tree fell on a fence, and branches or a tree fell out in the street, they have to leave wherever they're working and go take care of the emergencies. So those are things we need to know, and you need to tell the rest of the community, because they asked me did we have street sweeping, and I said across the street was Mondays and our side is Tuesdays, and that's every week, but it's not true anymore. I didn't realize they had changed it. It's every other week, and ours is the first week and the third week. So there are things you have to keep up with. There's so much to know, and people don't care, because when I first planted trees, and I know Bo Savage is on here from the Los Angeles Conservation Corps, and that's a wonderful organization that trains young people to stay out of trouble and to learn how to do forestry and things like that. So I've worked with them often, because we have a alley parkway across the street that's between our street and another street that we closed off and had benches put in there and things like that, and hibachis. And the gentleman who was taking care of it moved. He and his wife got a divorce, so I had to find somebody to do it. And LA Conservation Corps comes whenever I call them. So there are different groups that are very helpful. And then you have to think of everybody's mind. Some people, when I plant a tree, some people, I don't want a tree, the leaves fall down. I was like, well, yeah, they do. They didn't want to rake leaves. So that's my contribution, and just learn who are around to help you, and keep working with and get other people to help you. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne. I'd like to invite Mr. Michael Klubach to go ahead and grab the virtual mic.
Thank you. I've been on the Keep LA Beautiful committee for quite a few years, and one vision of ours, one big idea of ours that came up is that we would, function as a networking organization, and we would have a forum to have folks gather and to learn about the resources of the city, and to network and to give grants. And it came together today so powerfully. I'm just really happy. And so thank you very much for, everybody that I know and I've met, with Keep LA Beautiful in the city, and I've been to openings of grant recipients of their projects, and just been very moved by learning, who all the folks are that surround me in Los Angeles, and so moved to be part of it. So I am the executive director of Kids Ocean Day. We've been out and about in the LAUSD school system for almost 30 years with our environmental education program. We talk to the kids about all the happy animals in the ocean. We talk to them how they're tangled in the trash, make that storm drain connection for them. And so that's our educational element. It's part of education, educating kids about the impacts of their litter, dropping litter, of all of our litter that gets dropped on the beach. And then every year we bring out a few thousand to Dockweiler State Beach, 3,000-4,000 kids. We've been doing that for almost 30 years. Then they come out, do a big beach cleanup, and gather together and form these big images on the sand with 3,000 or 4,000 kids. And yeah, that's what I do, and I keep doing it. And the city of Los Angeles has been a huge partner and financial partner of I don't know if it's $1 million yet, but it's pressing up against it. So it's been a lot of resources from the city, similarly from the California Coastal Commission, and so there it is. I've got my website there, my email, happyfish@kidsoceanday.org. The website's kidsoceanday.org. If there's any teachers out there who want us to come to your school, call. That's what we do. We go and we present, and then we give buses to the schools, and our intention is empowering kids to save the earth by connecting them to the beaches and oceans. So keeps me alive. Keep on going. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael. Our final advisory board member to speak today is Samantha Martinez.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I've not been here the whole time because I had a tire situation with my car. But anyway, I have been on the advisory board for many years. I've really enjoyed working with the other board members and the organizations who are doing amazing work. I wish we had more money to give to more of these amazing groups and projects, but I really feel so positive about the work that Keep LA Beautiful has done. I want to give a shout out to Michael. Kids Ocean Day is the best. If anyone can join it, it's super worth it. So I'm with a firm called Kindle Gagan. We're a public affairs advocacy firm, and we have a number of clients who are in LA and who are interested in helping the city however they can, whether it's through recycling or beautification or education. And so that's why I've been part of this board and this organization, and really proud of the good work that the organization does, and the good work that the nonprofit groups and community groups that join us do. I also am on the board of LA Conservation Corps. I'm very, very proud of all of the work that Beau does. I know Suzanne gave Beau a shout out, but I think it is imperative that businesses that are located in LA or do work in LA help and support the city and the communities, and making the city look better, and cleaner air, and less stuff in the ocean, and more trees. So I'm very excited to be part of a small part of what you all do. And thank you for letting me introduce myself.
Excellent. Thank you, Samantha. And again, thank you to our great KLAB advisory board and the team that put together this amazing conference that we had today. For our final comments today, I'm going to pass it back to our KLAB grant manager, Karina Casillas.
Thank you, Jerry. And again, if you have any questions for any of our advisory board members, we will be sharing their links, their resources, and their contact information as well. I'd like to again thank the advisory board for sharing with us their experiences, their great organizations, and all their efforts. In addition, thank you again to all of our keynotes and to all of our panelists who joined us here today. With that, we do conclude the 4th Annual Beautification Conference. Again, congratulations to all the raffle winners and a sincere thank you to all for attending to hear about successful methods of reduce, reuse, and recycle, water conservation for day-to-day use, and hearing any tips and advice on our BeautifyLA grant. We hope to see you all at next year's conference, hopefully in person this time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Karina, will you be sending
Thank
out
you all.
the recorded conference?
Yes, so again, we'll be sending out the recorded link along with all the speakers' contact information. Any of the resources that were shared in the chat, we'll also be sharing that as well.
Perfect. And a
Right,
reminder,
thank
if
you.
you guys want the raffle, please email me your contact information so we can coordinate pickup. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.